Alright guys, welcome into the long-awaited blush collection and declutter video. I'm doing this one as like a collection slash declutter video this time. Very different than I've been doing the rest of my declutters that I've been doing recently because I have so many new blush in my collection and I never always have my mind wrapped around like what blushes I want to keep in my collection. I don't get enough time to love and test some of the older formulas, and so I just haven't done that with these blushes. I'm thinking that I'll declutter some, but not a ton of them, so I thought I would kind of title this more of like a collection slash declutter video so you guys could just see an updated blush collection video because you guys love that too. So it won't be brutal, so if you're looking for a brutal blush declutter, you guys, it's just not going to happen this time around. And this stack right here, very specifically, like none of this is going. I pulled all of this out of my either testing new makeup or out of like my speed reviews bin in my closet. So a lot of this stuff is brand new to me, like in terms of I've used it once or never. So that's what this is, and I thought we'd just go through this. Probably not quickly because I'm going to be swatching everything, but I might not go into detail in reviews about these things because I don't even have my mind wrapped around some of them. Now, two of them in here at least I've swatched already, even though I haven't tested them, so they're not exactly brand new because I started to film this video and then the lighting just wasn't really good. So I wanted to redo it. So here I am, take number 2. Also, I'm starting to lose my voice, you guys, so I'm a little bit hoarse. Maybe you guys kind of like that. Maybe it puts you to sleep. I don't know. Anyway, let's get to this bin. Alright, I've just been going with 5 because it seems to kind of fit in frame basically where I have it right now. And behind us, you guys, is just cardboard. And you can kind of see like the ridges around it because a highlighter in my highlighter filming exploded like all over the other side of this. So it's basically toast. So I turned it over and it's not exactly what I was hoping for. So I wish I had something like completely white for you guys for a better background. Anyway, let's get into it, you guys. These first 5 are a variety of different blush, but I don't think I've tried these two, just these two right here. I've tried the other ones. This one is from AOA Studio. It's the Lumi Radiant Blush. I gotta say, this was probably like $1.88. It was very affordable, and I think I'm really gonna love this. This is in Golden Apricot. It came with these like things on it. Oh, I just nicked it. I really don't need that thing, so I just got rid of it. But look, it's like marbled and like shimmery. It looks so delish. I'm gonna swatch on, I think, the inside of my arm for you guys so that you can see these better. Oh heavens, do you see that? Delicious. If you guys don't like a shimmery blush or a radiant blush, you might not like this, but this is just my kind of deliciousness. Oh, and by the way, I like pulled off my fake nails and I've like been painting at my grandmother's house, like just doing a ton of improvements, and we're at the kind of painting stage now. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, that looks deliciously smooth and beautiful. And then I picked up another shade here. This one is in So Close, which looks a little bit more pink than the other one. Delish, you guys. It looks so yummy and smooth and just shimmery and kind of nice. So I think I'm gonna like those. And this other one here is also from AOA Studio. Again, really affordable. I did try this in my AOA Studio haul video. This is Petal Pop. So one side is a cream and then the other side is a powder. First impressions was that this is really nice. They're both really densely pigmented. Like they really give a nice swatch and really opaque on the cheeks. They're a smooth formula. Like, I liked them. I would definitely compare them to some high-end formulas that I have in my collection. I'm not kidding. I mean, I don't think it takes a lot. I think a lot of what we pay in formula sometimes is just the brand name, because something like that, even though it was really affordable, it still performed really well. I don't know if I'm gonna love this shade because it's definitely like more kind of terracotta, but depends on, you know, how it ends up diffusing out. I may really enjoy it. The nude sticks from Nude Stacks, I picked up 2 shades. This like comes apart like this. They're magnetic and they don't really hinge, you know? They're just like slide off magnets. And you can like slam them back on, but they also kind of come up like this. But then, you know, the magnets don't stick every freaking place. Anyway, these are called the All Over Color Blush Balms, and this one is in Barely Nude. I'm not sure why they call them balms, to be honest. It comes with a mirror on the inside because they're so dry feeling. They're like got to be a cream to powder formula. Like, look at that. And there's just not a lot happening, you know, like not like a balm that I think is just more radiant and creamy and emollient and maybe even like a little bit sticky. And that's how I think of a balm. This is such a cream to powder, very dry formula. It's beautiful shade and it's very airbrush looking. It's just not a balm in the sense of what I think. And then Love and Roses is this second shade. I mean, like, look how dry that is. Can you guys just see? It's almost like a powder. It's so freaking dry, like even on the swatch. I mean, if you don't like something super pigmented, this really might be a formula for you because it's just very light overall. It diffuses out pretty nicely. I like that they go together. I think that's kind of cool. Not necessary, but cool. All right, this next one here is from Laura Mercier. It's one of the Color Fuse blushes. I have been kind of adding to my cart some of the formulas that I love the best from my collection, and this was just one of the favorite powder formulas that just has stood the test of time. So the last time I was in Sephora, I just picked up an extra shade. This one is in Rosé. I had Coeur Royale, which is kind of a more purple shade, and then I also still have Chai, I want to say, in the powder formula, but I wanted something a little bit more pink because I guess this summer I was just reaching for more pink shades overall. You know when they say the camera adds 10 pounds? I feel like my arm looks so big when I'm looking back at the viewfinder. I do have big forearms anyway, but anyway, just thought I would share that. But it's just such a beautiful formula. It's like simple and perfect and yummy and delicious. You just can't go wrong with these Color Fuse blushes from Laura Mercier, I think. But anyway, I bought the extra shade. I really have probably only put it on my cheeks once. I haven't worn it more than that, so even though it is a formula that I have tried before, it's just not a color that I've tested and given love to, and so therefore it doesn't leave my testing new makeup bin. Alright, here are the next 5. I feel like keeping it zoomed out like that just makes sense when I'm doing that many swatches. So I've got 2 of the Fenty Suede Powder Blush. This one is in Bacon Cakes. It's a powder formula, but it reminds me a lot of the Nude Stacks. Like, it's that kind of maybe like gel powder, because it's like so soft. It's not really like kicking up anything. Super similar to the Nude Sticks, but so much more pigmented. Like if it was a difference between like this or the Nude Sticks, I'm pretty sure I would pick this. These ones just, I liked them so much better in my initial testing. And this one is in Petal Poppin'. Just a nice pink shade. Honestly, because I so far like this formula so much, I'd like to get the ones that are a little bit shimmery. Because I don't know, I didn't love this shade. It's a little bright pink for what I like, but I loved this. Because diffused out, like it is so much prettier and lighter on my skin. And even though I feel like people tell me I have a cool undertone, sometimes I think that warm blushes look better on me than cooler blushes. So anyway, these feel delicious. I did say though in my testing new makeup video that I didn't immediately love these. And I think it's because they don't pick up on a super fluffy brush. I think they are a little bit patchy like that. So I started using them with a more dense brush and they're fabulous. Fabulous. That's definitely what I would recommend you use to apply these. All right, this is another AOA Studio blush. This is just a little powder blush. Cherry Blossom Powder Blush in Kyoko is what this is called. I feel like my hands are so tore up. I've just been like working and painting and I'm so sorry, you guys. I like filming. I didn't want to spend time doing my nails. All right, anyway, this feels like a really nice formula. I did try it, I think once, and it's beautiful. I mean, again, it's just one of those powder formulas that you just cannot go wrong. There's nothing surprising about it. It looks like there's like little sparkles, but they don't really translate as far as what I've seen to my cheeks at all. Like it doesn't even really show up on the swatch. So it's a pretty matte formula or matte powder blush. But yeah, again, as far as the matte powder blushes go, like standard and beautiful and gorgeous and not terribly dissimilar to higher end, more expensive powder formulas so far. This is one from Ensley Rain. It's the Flutter blush. That's it. I think it's just the shade Flutter because it came out with the collection Flutter and Flourish, and then one blush came per palette. So anyway, this is like intense. It's really pigmented. It was really pretty. I mean, it was like a really deep shade though. You know, you really gotta like kind of a bright orange. And I have to say, I think it came out deeper on my cheeks than it looked kind of in the pan. Maybe I'm crazy, but that's my first impressions. But it went on perfectly, beautifully. There's nothing wrong with this. Nice pigmented powder formula. A lot more opaque than say like the AOA Studio, which you can see is just not as intensely pigment packed as this one. All right, this one from MAC. I don't think it's a new one in terms of the shade. I feel like they've had this shade before, but it was one of the either renamed blushes, because I don't know if these are reformulated, but they changed the name slightly, probably as like a marketing strategy. It would be my guess. These are now called the Glow Play Cushion Blush, where before it was just like Glow Play, I think. This one was in Blush Please. This is a shade I'm nearly certain they've had in their line before, and I have another one that is Peach. But I wanted something more neutral, something a little bit more nude. So when they launched these, of course, because I had wanted a different shade in this formula, I was like, well, there's my excuse. So anyway, I don't think it's reformulated or anything, and I think this is an older shade, but I do like this. It's just a nice kind of cream to powder, very airbrush looking, because again, it's just not super pigmented kind of blush. I feel like a lot of people could like this type of formula. By the way, you guys, I have a huge blush collection, so we're talking, this video is going to be long. I mean, you can already see that, obviously. All right, I broke my 5 rule, but I just figured that we would go over these. I have 3 of the shades of the L'Oreal Lumi blush, and I do like these. I feel like as far as the drugstore blush that has been coming out, like the liquid blush, I should say, that has been releasing a lot lately, because we saw a lot of liquid blush come out this year. I actually really enjoy this formula, and I don't know if I loved it right away. I did a dedicated video to these blush, and I think I was like, they're okay, they're good, but the more I use them, the more I like them. And they're kind of in different finishes. This one is in Glowy True Rose, so I think they have glowy, and then I think they have what they call dewy. And the glowy is just more like metallic looking. It's not necessarily anything else, but I like both of them, but I think I prefer the glowy ones. Well, this one anyway is the only one that I've tried, but I feel like it's kind of prettier. There's a little bit more dimension to it on the cheeks, and they blend out so nicely. When they're a liquid blush, a lot of times I find myself gravitating towards ones that are a little bit drier because they're a lot easier to work with. Dewy Rich Coral. So these other two were the dewy versions. And see, they almost look like a liquid to cream. Oop, I don't know where I was going with that. But that's kind of what they look like to me. You'll see in my collection, I have some that are more cream-like than liquid. They're just a thicker consistency. This is Dewy Worth It. So actually a lot of these shades, or not a lot, I guess these 2 shades, they kind of come out a little bit similar on the cheeks. I was trying to jump around and get different shades. I just think this Dewy Glowy True Rose, oh my gosh, is that right? Yes, is my favorite one so far. My least favorite would probably be this one right here. It's just a little bit intensely orange, and this one has like a little bit of pink in it. It's almost more terracotta, and that one is the Dewy Worth It shade. So I actually really like these. They are intensely pigmented, but they're an easy formula to work with. They really blend out super nicely without getting patchy. They're just kind of that like whipped, thicker, almost cream texture. Okay, and then, you know what? I'll save these 3 because I'm not gonna like swatch all the way up, I think. Let's go over this one from ColourPop. It's one of the Weightless Liquid Blush, and this one is in Super Shy. I don't think I've tested this enough to really give you any kind of review on it yet. I don't think it's the same as like the Moira and the Juvia's Place and the Rare Beauty. I think it's a little bit more sheer. I kind of like it. It's not like as intensely pigmented, at least in this shade. Okay, I'm not saying it's not intense, but do you see how you get a sheerness about it that I almost kind of feel like I like? So I don't know. I haven't got my head wrapped around this one yet. All right, and these last 3 are the Baby Got Blush Liquid Blush from Essence. I again tried to get a variety of shades here, and I'm pretty sure I did a dedicated video on these. I think they're good so far. I just think they're a little bit intensely pigmented. This one is in Dusty Rose. These are the kind that have a hole in the center of the puffy. The highlighter, it got clogged on me, and then when I squeezed it really hard in this direction, it shot straight up and got everywhere. These blush haven't gotten clogged, but the highlighter definitely did. And I feel like these are, again, that like liquid cream formula, that they're just a little bit more textured and thick. It gives me the impression it would clog this up. This one is in Pinkalicious, but I don't trust them now. Now I'm scared to squeeze it out. It's got me like immensely tainted from that incident, because guys, it exploded all over the camera, exploded everywhere. I should have been smarter about that. Pinkalicious is a little bit bright for me. It's like a very, very cool pink. So it's really probably not a shade that I will keep, but still testing it, I could change my mind. And then this last one is in Coral Crush. They have a dewiness like initially, but I think they're pretty matte looking on the cheeks. Like once they dry down, they definitely dry down. They're a lockdown, dry down kind of blush. But I don't know if I have my mind wrapped around whether I like love them or not. I just know that they look pretty intense on the cheeks. All right, we'll go back to these 5 here. I have Cheek Slime from Freck that I think was reformulated, maybe not, but it's new. It was like a new release, so maybe it was reformulated. This one was in Love Flush, which I think I thought was gonna be like more pink, but it definitely came out more terracotta, kind of more orange. And I think this is another one of those like liquid blush products that are more creamy, that are more like a cream in that they're just a little bit thicker. Now this feels like a thin enough formula, but I didn't like the way that this dried down on my face. Like it faded funny throughout the day. So I don't know if that's gonna become a favorite formula of mine. I actually think, now that I'm looking at it, like it's a lot thinner than some of the other ones that I'm calling kind of a cream formula that are liquid. I feel like the one from Morphe is even more textured and thick. This is one of the Hot Shot blush drops in Power Drip. Oh, I was wrong. See, I can't even remember these just quite yet. They look thicker. Look how sheer that is. Look how dewy and juicy and thin that is. Actually, in comparison to the Freck looks so much more thick. But anyway, I don't have my mind wrapped around these, although I feel like I did really like them when I tried them on. It's just the Freck fades funny. You know what? It's like fully dry now because I took a call just now, and it's like almost kind of sticky, you know? It like transfers a little, but it doesn't like necessarily move. It just picks up in certain places, and that's, I feel like, how it faded on my face during the day. It's just not a gracious fade. And because I'm pretty rough on my makeup, I really like when makeup can kind of stand the test of whatever the day I'm giving it and fade in such a gracious way for me. If all my makeup could be sport makeup, I'd probably be fine with it. Anyway, I'm just rambling on. The Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue Bronzer in Kiss of Mauve. I liked this. I think that I don't love the shade. How hard do I have to squeeze to get something out? I'm not sure. Just feels like not a whole lot of product is in here. It's been like that. You know what? There's something about this shade on the cheeks. It comes out more like terracotta than pink. I think it's missing like a little bit of mauviness to it in the shade. I think that's kind of what it is. So I like the formula so far. You can see how much more desaturated it is than the other ones. Like even with more coverage, I think that it's still just more desaturated. I don't think that the color is not intense. I think that the color looks pretty intense on the cheeks, but yeah, it's just not like super densely packed then. Mostly the one from Freck, I think. I think this one shears out pretty good because it's such a thin formula. God, I wonder what's gonna happen to my voice when I keep filming. All right, the ABH Blurring Serum Blush. I actually really loved this formula. It's in Hibiscus. The only thing is, I think I liked the shade online, but I didn't love the hot pink shade. I'm not sure. I think I thought it was hot pink when I was like buying it. I think Hibiscus, I think of like a deeper color. So I guess I just wasn't expecting it. I love the formula. This has probably got to be one of my favorite, like of these 3. This one was really good. It's like serum-like, but it's almost like a gel. It's pretty intense, but you can shear it out, and it had really good lasting power. I liked the way that it looked the most and, well, performed the most, but the color itself, not necessarily my favorite. I would have preferred getting a more neutral shade there. This one from Cali Ray is the Blurry Blush. It's an airy soft focus cream blush. So I first thought it was a liquid, but it's not. This one is in Dope. I tested it one time, I think. Do you see this applicator? Doesn't this remind you guys of like the Say Dew blush? It looks a lot like this, even though I think that one's a liquid and not a cream. This one is just very similar, like how much actually picks up on this doe foot and like how goopy it is. I don't know that it's gonna perform similarly to the Dew blush because it's a soft blurry cream blush and it's like drier, but it's kind of that thick texture that the Say Dew blush has. I don't know if I'm gonna love this. I don't think it applied super evenly the one time that I tested this in a testing new makeup video, but I've only tested it once, so that's all I know so far. All right, let's go over these 6 here. This one here is from AOA Studio. It's one of the like blush drops. I'm pretty sure this was like around the dollar mark, like not like $1.88. I think this was actually like $1.07. And this one is in the shade Dolly. This one is a super watery formula. I'm probably gonna swatch this like right here for you guys because it's very liquidy. Actually, that's not too bad. The first time that I used it, it was really watery. Okay, yeah, it is. This is more like a flush of color. I get what it is, like it's blush drops. I think that it's really sheer, and that's probably not what I'm looking for. I didn't realize like how sheer it was gonna come out. But by comparison, like the Hourglass Unreal Liquid Blush, it's very similarly thin and watery. This one is in Vision. I'll swatch it next to it so you guys can see. It just has way more pigment to it. Like, I don't even think you need that much with this. See how dense that pigment is? There's just something about this formula. I've been seeing like videos where people are saying like, do you really need this? This is such a unique formula in my collection that my answer to that is abso-freaking-lutely. Like, so far I'm absolutely loving this. I don't love the shade because it's a little intensely terracotta again once against to my cheeks. Even though I say I like a warm blush, there's just something where it's got like too much deep brick red. I don't love that. I like a warm blush if it's like a nudie warm or even like a warm pink or a warm peach, but I don't know, this is just a little bit intense. But there's something about this formula, okay? It starts out as like a blush drop, but then you start rubbing it into your skin. The formula starts to get hardened, if that makes sense. It's almost like the contact of your skin, it kind of changes because you can just see how like liquidy it is in there, but it comes out and it's a much creamier texture than liquidy. And I like the opacity. I really like that it doesn't like sheer out like crazy. It's a pretty intense blush. I still think it's bang up product and I think it's really unique in my collection. So do I think you need it? Like, yeah, if you like blush, then you need it. Who's to say you don't, okay? All right, moving on to this guy that rolled over here. It's the Color Flush Liquid Blush, another one from AOA Studio, and then this one is in the shade Cherry Wood. I don't think I loved this shade either, but I also didn't love like this tiny doe foot applicator. I kept feeling like I was like dipping back into it, and it's $1, you know? It's not very expensive. Again, it's one of those shades that I don't love. Like, that doesn't look terribly dissimilar to the Hourglass one. Just, again, not a shade. It's a drier cream formula, so ideally it would perform some of the other ones that I absolutely love, but it kind of didn't. It didn't blend out great. It didn't blend out perfectly. I didn't enjoy the application of this, but again, I've only tested this once like others, so I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it once I get to really testing it. And this is the last one from AOA Studios, the Venetian Romance Creamy Blush, yes. And I thought that this one might be like a dupe for the Phytosurgeons blushes. Comes in a glass jar for, I think, again, this is like around the $2 range. This is Duchess, and I think this is such a beautiful shade. Shades like this that are almost purpley mauve, I love. I know that a lot of people may not like shades like this, and I get it. Just a little bit deep and a little bit purple, but I think this is kind of like the warm toned deep colors that I like. I didn't have the best application with this, I will say. Like I've mentioned, I thought it would be like a dupe for the Phytosurgeons blushes, but it's a drier formula. The ones from Phytosurgeons are much more like emollient and creamy, and this one you can tell is like a lot drier. So it was a little bit hard to blend out. But again, I've only used it once, so we shall see, you guys. I'm still testing all of these. Moving on to these Moira blushes, I'll swatch them here. These are perfect dupes for the Merit blush balms. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't met such a perfect dupe in such a long time. The ones from Merit are 30 bucks, and these retail for $8.50. So if you guys like the Merit blush balms, you really should check these ones out from Moira. I'm not joking. The soft blush balms, this one's in Talk to Me. I even think these are longer lasting. I don't actually think they're more pigmented. Like when I started doing the comparison, I don't think that they came out more pigmented. I think that Merit builds up just fine. It's that the Merit is maybe a little bit more glossy and doesn't last as long. This one here is in Dreamer, but in terms of intensity level and pigmentation, they were building up the same. So like, see how they have like the balminess and like the radiance, and they were actually freaking gorgeous on the cheeks. Like, not intense at all. Super simple formula to work with, and you can see that they're really like blurring and balm-like. So highly recommend those already. Okay, you guys, that was it for all the blushes that I'm currently testing. So let's move on now to all of my powder blush. All right, not surprisingly, all of my powder blush will not fit into this container, so we'll start with this one first. I did mention this will not be a brutal declutter because I haven't retested a lot of these because I'm always testing new blush, and so I don't always get a chance to wrap my mind around some of these formulas and colors the way that I would like to. But we'll do some of that today. We're not gonna go crazy, but it'll be a nice way to do a little bit of like a collection style and swatch video for you guys. Okay, I think we start with these 5 right here. They're random. They're not even in similar shades, but I don't care. I was just kind of pulling them out. So this one here from Too Faced is one of the Candy Crush or Cloud Crush blushes in Velvet Crush. I had 2 shades. I had the one that released first with the limited edition collection in the eyeshadow palette, and it was like that really cool toned pink, but I really didn't love it. And then I bought this one later on because I liked the formula, but then also I did put it into a chopping block because this sometimes gets patchy on me. It doesn't like apply super evenly all of the time, but I decided to hold on to it, and it's such a beautiful, like truly mauve shade on me. It kind of looks warm back on the camera, but you guys, I swear it has like pink, and it looks better I think on my cheeks and pulls more pink than it does here, but it is truly a beautiful formula, and maybe sometimes it has to do with the brush that I'm using, that it doesn't always get that super smooth, even application, but that's definitely one I'm holding on to. And this one from Makeup Forever, the Artist Blush, this one came broken. This one is in Spirited Sienna. I repressed it just using my fingers, but as you can see, it's kind of like taken a toll on this product. It's such a creamy formula. It's super duper soft, so it doesn't surprise me that it's smashed the way that Sephora packs their stuff. And it's pretty intense. Like, I'm not thinking that I'm gonna reach for this all the time, but it is the most beautiful formula ever. I've gone back into store and swatched some more of these and couldn't find one that was like shimmery like this that they had in stock at the store. So I didn't pick up another shade, but I love this formula so much, and it's just like it has this, can you even see it? It has this like little bit of sheen to it. It's, oh my gosh, you guys, it's so absolutely gorgeous. It's such a beautiful, beautiful powder formula. And it's not like anything I have either. It's not like identical to things that I have. It's so smooth. All right, this one is a discontinued product from Essence. It's the blush lighter. And I don't know why, because I think it's great. The Cassis Sunburst. But Essence comes out with so many products, you'd think like, maybe this just didn't sell well as part of what it was. It kind of had like highlighter on one side and like blush on the other. But this is such a beautiful shade too, and it's such a beautiful shimmery formula that even though it's discontinued, the last time I did a blush declutter video, I thought about getting rid of this, and then I retested it and I was like, oh, absolutely not. So I keep this for my own personal use. All right, here's one that I can probably let go of. It's the My Mini Dream Glow Blush from Natasha Denona. Just came in the one shade when it released with the My Mini Dream eyeshadow palette. And I liked it. It's just, this is not like a product that I like when it's like this. And altogether, this was such a warm blush on me. I didn't love the way that it pulled. It's so weird that it came out warm. Yeah, it looks warm on the swatch, you can see it. And this highlighter was not remarkable at all. And I don't dig into like little pans like this. I thought I could swirl it all together. It just doesn't swirl the greatest, you know, and like mixing these two together wasn't like the thing that I was looking for, I guess. It just kind of comes out orange. Like, do you see the swatch? I didn't enjoy this, honestly, and I don't need to keep this in my collection. It didn't add anything, so I will declutter that one. And then this one from Milani is in Dolce Pink. It's the Baked Powder Blush. This one's like newer, you know, it's not old. I had Luminoso for a really long time, even before I knew that it was like a viral product. I had it before I even watched YouTube. And then I picked this one up later on, and I really enjoy this one. I enjoy both of them. I think they're pretty timeless formulas, I'm not joking. And if you like a shimmery blush or a radiant blush like this, like, these are amazing. They really are quite stunning on the cheeks, and they're a baked formula from the drugstore, so I'm for sure holding on to that one. All right, guys, here are the next 5. I have 2 from Pat McGrath. One of them is like part of her permanent line. This one is in Divine Rose. These are the Skin Fetish Divine blushes. I never fell in love with this formula. I have to say it was like really pricey for what I feel like you kind of get for this, because I have like similar formulas. I will say though that it being kind of hard pressed makes it a little bit more airbrush looking on the skin. Wow, that didn't diffuse out at all, did it? It just kind of stayed there. So I like how creamy the powder formula is, for sure, but I don't know, I didn't find them like overly remarkable. When I think of Pat McGrath, I don't know, sometimes I just feel like I'm supposed to be blown away, especially for the price point. So I like them, I don't think I love them, you know? This one was one of the limited edition releases in Nude Venus 2, but this one had a little bit of shimmer, and I just preferred this better. Like, I actually liked this blush a little bit more because of that shimmer. It's more of a nude shade, but they're both amazingly neutral, really everyday blush shades. So I do hold on to them. I think they're trusty blushes. I don't think that they're amazing, I guess. I think we were seeing a lot of hype when those came out, and that's where my comments come from, is that, you know, when you see those things and people saying, oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite blush formulas, these are so good, I was anticipating something different, unique, even innovative. But I think it's just kind of a trusty standard powder formula. All right, this is another one of the Laura Mercier Color Fuse Blush Color Infusions in Chai. I think I was calling it something different. Oh, this is such a softer formula than like Pat McGrath. You know, I don't know, there's just something about that one that's just amazing. I think I would prefer the Laura Mercier over Pat McGrath. And then I have 2 Hourglass Blush. This one is Mood Exposure. And this one I've had for like a really long time, but I really enjoy the cool tonedness of this blush. It's very similar to the one in Divine Rose. Like, they're very similar shades, almost like purple. I love that. So anyway, really enjoy this one. I got this mini in the Vogue Advent Calendar this last December in Diffused Heat, and I was so happy to have gotten it because sometimes I don't go out of my way to repurchase formulas that I love. I'll end up just spending my money on like new things. So I was so happy to have gotten this because it's such a nice different shade. It's still a warm shade, but it's such a much brighter color than the one that I have in Mood Exposure. So I love having both of these. I haven't gotten a ton of use out of this yet, just because I've been testing so many, but I want to. All right, here's a bunch of drugstore blush. And one of these, this one from e.l.f., came out of my reference library. I keep some bins in my closet where if I think a product's popular and I might want to talk about it later on, then I'll pull it back out, you know, if I want to do like a drugstore video or something like that. But I infrequently go through those bins and pull out the stuff in my declutters so that I can decide whether or not it's time for them to go. Just move on, you know, before they get old. I can pass them along to my sister and my niece and my grandmother and anybody else who might want them if I don't end up using them. So that's why it's in here, and I do have some other items that are in there as well. I have 2 of the Pure Nude Baked Blushes from Essence. I really didn't like these when they first came out. Shimmery Rose and Pretty Peach. And I think the more that I use them, the more that I appreciate them. This one is the Pretty Peach. And I appreciate them because, you know, if I'm not looking for something super pigmented, but I want a little bit of sheen to it, like, it's just so nice. It's just that I used to love really intense blushes, and so like a blush like this was just like, oh my gosh, this is so underwhelming. But no, it's just, oh, there's something so nice about a really light blush on the cheeks sometimes, you know? Anyway, these are gorge. These will stay. A very beautiful, I wouldn't say similar formula, but kind of, because it also has sheen to it. But another very beautiful formula from the drugstore is the Cheek Lover Oil Infused Blush from Catrice. This is also baked too, but this is such a unique blush. Blooming Hibiscus. I'm pretty sure they don't even make this anymore, as Catrice does. You know, they kind of come in, but oh my gosh. It's like hot pink with gold. I've talked about this on my channel, and I think some of you have even like tried to find it. It's freaking stunning. So I won't let it go because it's just like this hot pink with gold in it. Can you even see the gold? Oh my gosh, you guys. It's not even like showing up super well. But it is absolutely one of the most brilliant shades in my collection. I have one from Lancome that's similar. So that one they still have. When we get to that one, you guys, I'll show you. Let me do a side by side. Here she is. This is gorgeous too. And they still make this. The Blush Subtil in Blushing Tresor. Like, you see how it's like almost this hot pink with like gold in it? Like, it's a super similar shade. This one from Catrice had to have been like $8 or $9. But this one, I think from Lancome is like probably like 40, somewhere around there. But they're so similar that if you were looking for a blush like this, Blushing Tresor is stunning. It's absolutely stunning if you like that like hot pink blush with like the gold reflex in it. It's freaking amazing. These are two of my favorite shaded blushes in my collection. I don't use them that often. I don't know why. Probably again because I'm constantly testing new blush, but those are stunning. I mean, I hunted down the Lancome because I loved this shade so much. Anyway. All right, this one from e.l.f. is the Primer Infused Blush in Always Cheeky. I'm not even sure they make this anymore. I mean, it's not a bad blush. It's just kind of unremarkable, you know? It's like, it is a blush. That's how I feel. It is a blush. But I'm going to pass that one along. This one from Makeup Revolution is the Blusher Reloaded in Peach Bliss. I talked about this already in like speed reviews like pretty recently because this is not an old blush in my collection. But the thing was, I mentioned in there that, you know, this is another kind of like unremarkable formula for me. And it's nice and soft and bouncy, but I don't think it blends out super great. Those ridges don't always like help to pick the product up on a fluffy brush, which is kind of what I like to use when I pick up a powder blush like this. Like, that's how I like to apply it. So it just kind of made it look uneven on the skin. And when the blush has like a little bit of tack to it, like very especially kind of more of a creamier formula when it's powder, I feel like it has a hard time picking up on a powder blush anyway. You know, it's going to kind of stick to the bristles, and when it's like ridged like this, I just don't think it helps. So I talked about not holding on to this. So this one I am for sure going to declutter. All right, guys, here are the next 5. One of these I've already talked about decluttering in my everyday makeup drawer. You guys, if you've ever seen me declutter anything from my everyday makeup drawer, I do move them along. They just don't make it out of the house. They just don't make it into that box when I do these declutter videos and then on to someone else. So they're like here, they just don't leave. And so that's really what I try and do in these declutter videos, is get rid of those ones that I've set aside saying I'm just not going to keep it in my permanent collection. So if you've heard me say it, that's why. That's the process that I go through. I have 2 of the Buxom Wanderlust Primer Infused Blushes. This one is in Seychelles, and this was the one that I said I was going to get rid of. These I used to love. This used to be my #1 shimmery blush formula in my collection. I didn't love this shade, you know, anymore. It just seemed too terracotta and less nude. So I didn't want to hold on to that one, but this one is still in my everyday makeup drawer. This one is in Dolly. Just because Dolly is such a mauve shade, and it's just maybe what I'm into a little bit more. But these are such a beautiful formula, and I still really enjoy them. Like, even though they're an older product, they're still so gorgeous and shimmery, and almost like, this one almost has like a silver sheen to it on the cheeks. It's kind of hard to see, but it's like a really nice silver sheen, and they blend out perfectly. But I wasn't enjoying the shade as much. I don't know, just a little deep for what I'm grabbing for. So I'm gonna pass along Seychelles, but I'm still gonna hold on to Dolly. And you'd never see me get rid of this one from Laura Geller. Probably, you know, never say never, but Baked Blush and Brighten and Down to Earth. This is in the satin finish. These retail for about $30, but Laura Geller constantly has sales. And if I ever recommend anything, like getting from a brand that you can't get at Sephora, it's these freaking things from Laura Geller. They're so pigmented, and the satin finish just gives this really nice sheen to it, but it's not glittery. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful baked formula. It buffs in beautifully. Laura Geller, did I say this already? She has sales on her site all the time, so you can like almost always find these marked down for one reason or another. If not, just wait for like a holiday, you know, whatever it is. President's Day sale. Like, she does a bunch of sales. But this one specifically in Down to Earth is like this beautiful mauve shade. The thing is with these blush, they've been out for so long. Laura has come out with matte finishes, satin finishes, shimmery finishes. I mean, there's 16 different shades in this line total, which is like insane. You know, that's crazy. That's a really good blush line overall. There's very few that quite have that many. So anyway, such a beautiful formula. Now these two are some of my favorite. I will die on the hill and I will tell you guys that Bare Minerals makes some of my favorite blush formulas. Maybe not the newest one in the liquid bronzer, but these ones, freaking fabulous. Now people hate on the highlighting blush, so let's go over that one, because I think they pick the ones that are lighter shaded and they're just not really blush shades. But this one in Mauve Glow, the Gen Nude Highlighting Blush in Mauve Glow, is so much deeper that it actually looks like a blush. And it's a shimmery blush. And it's smooth and it's pigmented and it's silky. And oh my gosh, you cannot tell me that isn't fabulous. Look at that fabulosity. So again, I'll die on the hill that these are fabulous blushes. And it's not just that, it's that like, make sure you're getting a shade that looks like a blush. You know, if it comes out like a highlighter on the cheeks, it's probably too pale. And I have ones that are like that in my collection that come from this brand, Katkin, and I've moved it to my highlighter drawer because it's fabulous. And I'm okay. I'm okay that it was too pale for me. I still liked it and I didn't knock the formula. So anyway, I think the formula is gorgeous, but this shade in particular, fabulous. And so the one that we had before, the liquid, the new release, because that's in Kiss of Mauve, it wasn't mauve enough the way that this one is. So anyway, it's gorgeous. But let's leave Katkin over here. The Kiss of Copper, the blush and bronzer in the Gen Nude Bronzers. This is also fabulous. There's very few companies that make like softer formulas than Bare Minerals as far as their blush goes. I'd like to see them do like bronzers like this, you know, like true bronzers that are kind of shimmery like this. Because this is just, they're so good. This is obviously a much warmer shade, you know, and not as shimmery, but it still has like sheen to it. I think it's beautiful if you like a shade like that on the cheeks. All right, this is a ragtag team of blush right here. There's just a variety. It's kind of all over the place. Ooh, and we're getting some like shine back over here on the right-hand side a little bit. I'm sorry about that. All right, well then I'll go through this one first and move these ones up. This is my old Milani. No lettering. This is old. 5 years? 5 years old, this blush is. Baked powder. This is in Luminoso. But I still think it's fine. I used it recently. I just had this in my everyday makeup drawer and I just moved it out. It's gorgeous. Beautiful. I wish the sun would like stop shining right here. I can't make the curtain go down farther. Anyway, I think this is beautiful and I'm holding on to it. This one right here from Makeup Revolution is something that I picked up on vacation and I thought I would like love this. It's the Vintage Lace Blush Intense Dual Pigment Blusher. But this is a product where it had like sparkle overspray. Can you guys see the sparkles? It wasn't flattering. Like all those sparkles were really translating and then the blush wasn't like blending in it's like super well. I didn't like all the dang sparkles. Like I really do like sheen and shimmer, but I don't know if I'm down with like really childlike sparkles on the cheeks. And that's basically what this was. And I didn't like the way that these blend in. Wow, I don't think I've ever used this shade right here. And these ones aren't like super remarkable anyway. I have other blush in my collection. Like the Rare Beauty ones are softer and they don't have sparkles, but they look similar to this. You know, the Soft Pinch Luminous Powder blushes. But I don't need this. And I don't know why I bought it because I really don't love palettes like this where they just come with blush. And honestly, if I'm gonna do it, this packaging isn't necessarily grabbing my attention, so I'm gonna pass it along. All right, this one from Katkin is one of their, I can't even remember. This particular one has Chinese lettering, Chinese writing, so I cannot tell what these are called, but I think it is on my like highlighter one. Oh, and this one is in C05, where my highlighter one, I picked up on Amazon. I call it my highlighter one because it's actually a blush, but it's very, very light. But I thought about decluttering this one. I loved the formula so freaking much. Wait till you guys see this swatch, okay? It's gorgeous and stunning. But sometimes it comes up a little bit gray cast on my cheeks because it's kind of a warmer shade with really intense like silver. Can you see that? So sometimes it pulls gray. And because of that, I was like, do I want this? And then I retested it and I was like, well, abso-freaking-lutely. Like blush like this is just my kind of cup of tea, I guess. I really enjoy when it has like a kind of a metallic look to it, but it's still super smooth, so it doesn't emphasize texture. Anyway, I decided to keep it, but I did end up picking another shade, and it's in my highlighter drawer, as you guys may have saw. Actually, I don't know which video is gonna get up first, the blush video or the highlighter video at the current moment. So anyway, that other one went into my highlighters because I think it's stunning as a highlighter. But I highly recommend these. I mean, they sell these on Amazon. They're not super expensive. I mean, I want to say they're like 20 bucks, which isn't cheap, but they're so pretty. They're so pretty. I feel like some of my favorite blush are just not mainstream blush. I got this one from Unique Beauty. I think they're still selling, but they went to a different site. Unique Beauty is out of the UK. And this one is Danikil, and Unique is spelled E-U-N-I-Q-U-E. Anyway, this blush was $4, and I thought about getting rid of it too, but there is stunning. My blush is all over the place. Look at it swatched to this one, and then there are days where I will wear this color, okay? That's how we roll. That's why you get so many blush in your collection, Carrie, because you just wear anything. Goodness gracious. All right, but I'm definitely holding on to this one. I thought about decluttering it at one point, but I can't. It's so pretty on the cheeks. It's really pigmented and also lasts all day. You gotta go in with a really light hand. Okay, I waited like 5 minutes and the sun moved, so I turned up the brightness. This one from Color Drain is new to me. It's the Focal Point Glow Lighter in Just Peachy, so technically it's like a highlighter, kind of a hybrid product. It's like a cream, but it is a powder. It's so dense and kind of wet, and it's like a gorgeous kind of hot pink shade, and it has like that gold pigment inside of it, but it's too intense. It's so hot pink, it doesn't like diffuse out on the cheeks. It just looks super hot pink. I think I got this for $2 on Color Drain's website. Do you see how like beautiful that is? It just comes out like super intense, and I can never just dial it back. So for that reason, I already mentioned that I probably will pass this along, so I'm going to. All right, here's the next 5. I love this formula from Iconic London. So I started with one and went back for another. It's the Kissed by the Sun Multi-Use Cheek Glow. This one is in Playtime, which is the shade I went back for, like to get a second shade, and I regret nothing. I regret nothing. Okay, this is absolutely freaking stunning. I'm definitely messing with the brightness now. Maybe that's too bright. I think you get the true color when it casts a little bit of a shadow, when I have like one light coming from one side. But like, look how absolutely stunning that is. Like, it's a gorgeous pink shade, but again, it has like that gold infused in it, like a little bit, and that's just my kind of love right there. This one is the one I had first. This one is in So Cheeky, and it's more like a, you know, kind of blush and bronzer hybrid, but it's still super stunning. Like if I'm looking for a shade like that during the day. So one of my favorite formulas, maybe even like what made me fall in love with Iconic London. All right, this is the reformulated blush from NARS in Dolce Vita. These are called the just like blush. That's literally what it says on the back. And I have had Orgasm in the past. I've had Orgasm X. I feel like I recently decluttered Orgasm X, but I almost would have liked to have kept it. But I like Dolce Vita. I'd say it's like maybe a little bit deep when it gets to my cheeks, because it's kind of one of those like creamier formulas, you know? Like it doesn't diffuse out. Can you kind of see that? That it just kind of like stays on the cheeks. But it's really beautiful. I just don't know if Dolce Vita was made for my skin tone necessarily, just how pigmented these are, but this is such a great formula. So it stays. I've talked about this. Dior did something. I think Dior came out with products ahead of time, ahead of other people. Their lip oils. Everybody copied the lip oils, and we're drowning in lip oils. But I don't think they had a revolutionary formula. They were just the first to do it. Same with this. They were the first to come out with this like super cool toned baby pink shade. That's what I believe. But I don't think it was an exceptional formula. The formulation itself wasn't super refined. It was just that the color was super refined. So because of that, the popularity of the blush extension, which is fairly recent, I feel like has taken off quite a bit as well. But I don't think it's an exceptional formula. This one is in 001 Pink, and these are called the Color Awakening, oh my gosh, Universal Blush, the Rosy Glow blushes. Interesting that I've just now read that name. And this was put in my reference library because this is just not a shade that looks good on me. I feel like every time I put this kind of color on, it makes me look ill and flushed, and usually a shade that I would generally try and cover up. It's just too light. So, you know, I already think I have kind of rosy undertones sometimes. Anyway, foundations that are made for with rosy undertones seem to work really well on me, better than like neutral or whatever. So shades like this, I don't love. And I don't love a super cool blush anyway. So I had this in reference for a pretty long time, but I'm done. I'm done with it. I don't need it in my life anymore. I haven't talked about it and I'm not going to, so I'm going to pass it along. But I have kept this one in Coral. I don't mean to change octaves or anything, but like, do I love this formula? I mean, I don't know. I have better formulas. Is this one starting to like hard pan? It kind of is. See, this is why I say it wasn't like an exceptional formula. I just preferred that shade so much more. So, you know what? This one might end up going in a chopping block and like leaving my collection at some point, because I don't know if I love it over some of my other ones. All right, we are getting down to it in this bin here. I don't have a ton more to go, but then I've got more to go in the drawer behind us. I have one from NYX that I love, the Sweet Cheeks Matte Blush. I just think this is such a good, simple, standard formula. This one is in Bang Bang, and it looks deep in the pan, but it's really not. Like, once it gets to the cheeks, it's actually like a really beautiful, very like mild mauve shade. So gorgeous. I love this so much. It's a very simple formula. This one from MAC is the Mineral Blush in Sweet Enough. I also love this. This is a pretty just standard matte formulaed blush, and it also looks very diffused and cute, and it's a little bit of a, you know, a warmer shade in my collection, so love that. This one from Kiko Milano, I'm on the fence about. I declutter a lot of things from Kiko, but then I love a lot of their products. This one's just in 06. This was part of like their unlimited blush. They had an unlimited collection. This is just a standard powder blush, and it's like in mauve. But like, do I need to keep this? Because I never reach for it. It's so good, you guys. That's the thing. Kiko Milano products are just, they're all really formulated well. I have so many other formulas. This one I don't think about, you know? That's the thing. Hold on to it because it's good and there's nothing wrong with it, or get rid of it because you never reach for it. Let's look at it up against this one, the Gen Nude from Bare Minerals. I should have pulled this one out with the other ones. This one is in Call Me Blush. This is also like a super creamy, soft matte formula. Oh, they're different shades. Great. I think I'm gonna pass this along. I never reach for it, and I honestly don't think I'll miss it. But the one from Bare Minerals, I told you guys, like, I will die on the hill with Bare Minerals. Like, they have one of the best blush formulas all around. And this is like the matte one as opposed to the bronzer or the highlighting blush. I just feel like they do such an exceptional job with each one of their finishes. All right, this one from Gucci is one of my favorite formulas in my collection. I think it's super soft. It has a little bit of luminosity. This one is in the shade Rosy Beige, and I have a different shade in my cart currently. But this is one of those formulas where I want to get more because it's like a favorite formula, like the Laura Mercier one. Just a really nice powder blush formulation that is just exceptionally beautiful on the cheeks and the way it applies and all that stuff. So that's one of them that I already have a different shade in my cart. What else? I think there's one from Giorgio Armani that I've been trying to find like an additional shade to in the powder blush formula, which I might as well just talk about now because I have it in 30, which is like a very orange shade. But again, when I went to store and was swatching some, what they have in stock just sucks, man. They get so wiped out. They just don't have like a ton of stuff for me to swatch. Or if they do, it's just not in stock. And while I love this, again, I don't think it's like overly luminous. What are these called exactly? The Luminous Silk Glow Blush. While I don't really think they're overly glowy, the Gucci is probably a little bit more glowy than this particular one, but I still really love the formulation. I love a luxury blush when it's soft and fluffy and beautiful. I think those are remarkable formulas when they're just like soft and they blend out perfectly and they looked airbrushed. And same thing I was saying about the Laura Mercier. They're just a really good, trusty, beautiful product. This one I don't wear all the time, so I'd like to get something more neutral in that formula. All right, this last one here from MAC. I'm so sorry that the sun is still catching us. This one is one of the powder blushes in Power to You. This was part of their Valentine's collection. You know, the more I break through this product, the softer the blush becomes. And it's honestly a pretty interesting shade. It's like a red. They probably don't even have this anymore. It was probably limited edition. And you know what? It didn't look as bad, you know, on my cheeks as I thought. It's like kind of a terracotta shade, but it was like hard pressed in there. And I do think that this shade is just a little bit intense for me. So I am gonna pass that one along. All right, this is the last of my powder blush. I think there's probably like 3 or 4 in here that I'm gonna declutter, and that's it. I think that I'm cutting the fat, as it were. All right, well, let's go here. We might as well just do this selection since I have 4 of these blush. These are the Redimension Hydra Powder Blushes, and I have 4 shades of the, what do they have now? 7, 8. Bohemian Girl, Glass Slipper. I'm trying to do this on memory. Cur Royale, and then, no, sorry, Crystal Slipper. I was saying this was Glass Slipper. This one's French Rosé. And I love all of these. I love all of them. They have a little bit of sheen to them, but they're a nice kind of powder gel formula. They diffuse really nicely on the cheeks, and I think the shade range is good, and they're a shimmery blush, which I really am enjoying. I like something that has a little bit of sheen to it, just a slight bit. These are also like removable compacts too, so you could keep more blush that you wanted to, like rotate during seasons, which I don't do that. I do whatever I feel like when I feel like it. But I think that they're different enough. This is kind of a deeper pink shade. This is a lighter, maybe cooler tone pink, kind of like a hot peachy shade, and this one's definitely terracotta. So I feel good. I've definitely thought about getting more of these, but I'm not getting rid of any, that's for sure. Not at the current moment. All right, we might as well again stick with the theme here and go with House Labs. So I have the old formulation and the new formulation. So there were some shades I feel like that were extra, and then she removed some shades from the line. I want to say that these two here in Pomelo Peach and then Hibiscus Haze also came back. So neither of these ones were discontinued in terms of the shades. So what I tried to do was pick up 2 shades in the new formulation that I didn't already have. And I think it was this one, Fire Moon, was extra. Yeah, Fire Moon might have been the extra one. This was French Rosette. So they're all different. However, French Rosette is almost the same. No, I think Fire Moon is almost the same as Pomelo Peach, if I'm remembering correctly. Like one of these is super similar to the other one. I would say that this is one of my favorite powder blush formulas because it's super soft and creamy, but pretty densely pigmented. It has really good lasting power. This one in Hibiscus Haze, it has to be probably my favorite shade. I thought it would be my least, but just the way that it looks on my cheeks ended up being my favorite. So what does Pomelo Peach look like? Okay, I think it looked super similar to French Rosette when it got to the cheeks. But now that I'm like swatching them out, they're all very different. So I'm glad. My whole purpose in getting the 2 new shades was to test the formula, but also to not get repeat shades. And I think I did that. So for that reason, I don't know what these have in them. I think she just went cleaner ingredients. I don't think these ever had talc. So I don't know what she could have reformulated to take out. Can't remember, but I want to keep them all because they're all different shades. So those all stay. You know what, let's just go over these 3 right now. These are actually palettes, which I keep with my blush because I like the blush maybe a little bit better. This one is from Unearthly Cosmetics from the Devour collection. This was just the, I guess Slay was the blush and Delicate was the highlight. These look super intense. Like this looks like it would just be a terrible shade, especially for fair skin. But these formulas that Unearthly comes out with the blush, at least the blush, they're all super desaturated. Like once they get to the cheeks, wow, that doesn't look like I'm driving home the point, but when you pick this up on a fluffy brush, all you get is really fine pigment. You don't get all this intensity like you do on a swatch. it just doesn't come out like this. It buffs out in this really airbrush looking way. Cause you know, you're just kind of picking it up and it's not picking up a ton, not the way that like the warmth of your finger is. And even this highlighter is stunning. It really is. And I don't have another Unearthly Cosmetics highlighter formula, so I thought about keeping this, but I have the new blush palette that came out with the Spring Magic collection. And I feel like it comes with a shade that's similar to this, and they're all iridescent blushes, so they all look like this. They all are the very same formula. The only thing is I don't have the highlighter. So, you know, like, do I want to keep the highlighter from Unearthly Cosmetics just cause? I mean, it's really pretty, don't get me wrong. It looks sparkly, but I don't think it is sparkly. Like, it doesn't have loose sparkles, it just looks sparkly. It's actually, these are both a really, really interesting and cool formula overall. And I like the shade, again, I have this shade, you guys. I have the Devour palette too, so I'm like, do I want to keep them as a pair? I probably won't reach for that. I'm also not a person who like reaches for blush and highlighting palettes all that often. So I'm trying to dial down my face palette collection. I mean, I'd almost like to have none because I don't reach for them that often. So you know what? I think I'm gonna pass her along. And then the one from Kiko Milano also has a highlighter in it too. This was a limited edition collection again, because that's what Kiko does. It's the Powerful Love Matchy Souls Duo. Compact is what it is. It's called Falling in Mauve. And this is so gorgeous that again, I don't know what to do. This is such a creamier formula in both the blush and the highlighter than was that single that I had. This is freaking stunning. You know, if I travel a lot of times, I don't even bring like a bronzer. This would be beautiful to travel with. I haven't done that in a while, but I don't know if I'm ready to let it go. I think this one will just have to go into a chopping block. I kind of feel similarly about it to the Dior. There's some sort of like attachment that I have to it, but I don't know if it's a preferred formula, you know, even though the shade is gorgeous. So I'll hold on to it for now. Told you guys this wasn't going to be a brutal declutter, and I never thought it was going to be either. I'm maybe even a little surprised that I passed along the Devour palette and maybe even like the Kiko and the Dior. So I feel like I'm doing okay. All right, the Give Beauty blush. It's the Feel and Cheeky Amplifying Blush Duo and Lasting Love. I don't know how I feel about this either. I mean, this is not an exceptional formula. I like that it comes with like one shimmery one and then one like matte. Oh no, wait. I don't use this enough. This shade right here is gorgeous. Not that they're terribly different. I think they're supposed to be the same, but this is a hotter pink. And it also has like gold infused in it too. So I don't know, that one might be a chopping block as well, but that swatch just seemed like so much better than I remember the formula being. You know, it was kind of like a powder, but it didn't stand out to me. Anyway, I'm gonna hold on to it. Okay, this is another ragtag team of blush here, but all of these have shimmer to them, or like a little bit of sheen to them. So these M Cosmetics ones I've had for years. I have Faded Clementine and then Venetian Rose. And I love these. I still don't want to get rid of them. I don't think that they've gone bad. They're like a little bit of sheen to them. They're nice and pigmented. They're super duper soft. Oof, just swatching them feels good. Like, can you even see the sheen on these? Like just a tiny bit of sheen. They are super stunning. They're like perfectly pigmented too. They're not too intense. They pick up on a fluffy brush really well. And honestly, they're nice to apply on the cheeks and they're just really long lasting formula. So I don't get enough use out of these. I keep saying that every time I do a blush declutter video, and I still haven't put them back into an everyday makeup rotation. So I'll probably have to do that pretty damn soon. Although they're powder, you know, they'll probably last a while. All right, this one is from Hermes. This one is the Rose Diore in 35. This one has a bit of sheen to it. I was not expecting that when these launched from Hermes. It's very light, but it's a gorgeous, like almost goldy peach shade. Ooh, it's so pretty. So I really do enjoy that. This one from Kosas, the Blush is Life in the shade Euphoria. I hated when I first got it. And everybody was liking these. But you know what? I had so much white in my marble. See this big fat chunk right here? at the top, and then there's like little slices of blush. That's what it was doing. It was not picking up enough of the pink, and so every time I was getting to my cheeks, it was looking patchy. I was getting more highlighting shade than pink. I think it is really pretty. It's very light sheen, but it's almost like not even existent. Like they probably shouldn't even call this like a sheeny blush. It's more matte than anything. It's pretty. I don't know if it's remarkable the way that I feel like it's gotten popularity this year when it came out. But I feel like now that I've gotten through some of the white and I've swirled around like a bit more of the pink, I'm getting more of the pink now. I use a dense brush when I use this, is what I've been doing. All right, and this final one here is from Dior that I hunted down from their website. This is the Rouge Blush in Rose Monton Shimmer. I think that's how it's pronounced. You guys who speak French will let me know. This here is one of those like hot pink shades that has like gold shimmer in it that I absolutely love. I'd say that I love it about as much as the Lancome. Maybe not as much. The Lancome's a little bit more hot pink. And then it's very similar to the Blooming Hibiscus shade from Catrice. Like they're all absolutely stunning, and they're some of my favorite formulas and shades altogether. I really love them. So I recommend all three of those. But since you can't get the Catrice anymore, you guys, the only ones that I've been able to find that are comparable are from Dior and Lancome. So this one in 219, I think it's 219, yes, is absolutely fabulous. Alright guys, here's the next 5. This one is from Fenty. This one is the Hot Cheeks Fuller Blush Lighter in Fresh Peach. I love this because again, it's like that hot pink shade with the gold on top. But it's not as nice as like the Dior and the Lancome because it's more highlighty. It doesn't have as much of a base pigment as those other ones that are truly blush first. This one's kind of like blush and highlighter together, and this one is a grittier formula. It's not as soft as those other three. So while I love it and it's up there with the kind of blush that I absolutely love that I just talked to you guys about, it's not better than those other three. But I mean, it's decent. I think it adds texture to the cheeks because it's a little bit of a grittier, kind of chunkier formula, but I personally like that. So, or I don't mind it. I shouldn't say I like it, but I don't mind it. Then I have this one from Rebel Rouge Labs. This is actually, I want to say it's an all over cheek product. I don't know what shade this is in, but it's the lightest one from Rebel Rouge Labs, which is an indie brand. And this is such a beautiful, like kind of shimmery all over cheek product. I first got it and I thought it was going to be a bronzer, and then when I saw it I was like, oh my gosh, that's so warm. But it's really nice as like an all over. Like no bronzer needed, just wear this all over. And it's so stunning. The package looks like I've had this product for so long. It looks so scraped up, but I've had that for a month, maybe a month, just in time to test it. It just came out of my speed reviews. So I haven't given it enough love. Just the package looks like I've loved it to death, I guess. All right, this one from L'Oreal is one of the 24-hour fresh wear blushes, and this one is in the shade Fearless Coral. I don't know if I want to keep this one. I don't. It's so bright pink, and I don't reach for bright pink very often. It's a really nice, very soft formula. It's just like intense. It's intense. And I tried to get a more neutral shade in this, so I picked up Rosewood, and I decluttered that in my last blush declutter video because it was way too terracotta. It was just way too deep for me. It wasn't meant for my skin tone. But I don't think I'm gonna hold on to this either. I would have loved like a lighter shade in this. It's too intense. I'm not even reaching for it. Again, if I wanted something like this, I feel like I wouldn't go this bright, you know? I don't love the way like super bright pinks look on me. So I am gonna pass it along. This one from Givenchy, I gotta give it some more love. This one has to go in the chopping block. This one is in Coral, I'm pretty sure. I'll look up the shade in a second. But I don't love this. I really don't. These Givenchy products are not bad because they're so light and they're very everyday wearable, but I think this was like even too light for me, that it was kind of underwhelming. And I realize that I don't love the Givenchy openings. They're so hard to get blush out, partly because I've found myself taking off like the inserts of all of my powders, and I would love to do that with this blush, but I can't because Givenchy, this is just like a solid top. But this one will probably go into a chopping block. This is not a love of mine at all. Voila Coral is the shade, and it's in shade 3. All right, this one from NBA Cosmetics is just one of their like powder blushes, loose powders in Doll Face. Like, I prefer an opening like this, even though it's 3 little holes, more than the Givenchy one. I just feel like more product comes out for whatever freaking reason. I didn't realize this was gonna be so freaking little, but this is one of the best neutral blushes I have. Like, look how cute and nude that is. So pretty. There's something very, very natural looking on the face with this color blush. And while it's like tiny and it's a loose powder and it makes a little bit of a mess, this color is stunning. It is like the most nude blush I have. Maybe the Laura Mercier Chai comes close, but I feel like this one, it's more airbrushing because it's a loose powder. So I love it. It's kind of like this, you know, quarter-sized product that just looks like it would get swallowed up by the rest of my blush, but the shade is stunning, so I think about it. All right, I have 5 remaining Soft Pinch Powder Luminous blushes from Rare Beauty. One of them broke. I had all 6, and I did a dedicated video to these blush. And I have talked about them as being like really good releases, I think, for this year. But I don't need all of these shades because some of them are too deep. I just got them to try them on for the try on video for you guys, really, because I knew they were going to be a popular launch. They're all sheeny and I think they're stunning, but I think the darker the shade goes, the less like glittery it gets and more sheen. So this one here in Love is a terracotta, but it's not as like sparkly. It's not as textured on the cheek as the lighter shades are. This one has got to be one of my favorites. It's probably my favorite in Happy, because it's just a light peachy pink. I mean, it definitely adds texture. It doesn't have like a lot of tack to it, so it like kind of sits on the skin, if that makes sense. Like, it's silky soft. It's just like, how do I describe that it does add texture? Where some blush, even in this color and in this finish, they just don't add the same kind of texture that these do. But I don't think it's too much. So I'm definitely holding on to Happy because it's my favorite shade. I lost Joy, which I think was probably my favorite shade, but I shouldn't say lost. It lost itself, okay? It broke because Sephora can't package anything properly. The majority of their business probably comes from online shopping, so you'd think they'd get it there. You know, it behooves them not to have to replace it. Anyway, this one right here is too deep for me too, in truth. I thought I was gonna try and make it work because it has like some pink in it, but ultimately, it's just not a shade that I really need to hold on to. So both of those ones are gonna go. And then this one here in Cheer, I feel like is the coolest of them all. Not coolest, lightest maybe of them all. It's like a light peach. Actually, it's about the same depth. This one's just more pink, and this is a warmer, like peachy shade in Cheer. Actually, I really do like Cheer too when I'm looking for like a warm shade. And then this last one here is, I think it's like a deeper warm. Yeah, it's deeper warm. So I really do like that one too. But see, as they get darker, they kind of carry less sparkle. So I want to hold on to the 3 lighter shades, but then pass along the 2 deeper ones. All right, these are the last of the powder blushes. So this one is one from Flower Beauty. It's one of the Pyramids blush. The cheek color in Rose Glow. I really like this. It does keep breaking on me though. Like the highlighting portion keeps breaking. I got it from Ulta online. Like, it's absolutely beautiful. Like, this is beautiful. This is a product that I absolutely would love to grab because I love this kind of sheen and that kind of color. All right, this next one from Polite Society is the blush stick in Sydney. This one's beautiful. It's a powder, but it feels like a cream. It's just like a powder blush stick. It's kind of cool, you know, it's a little revolutionary. I don't think it's a cream. I definitely think it's a powder. But it's so airbrushing, like it just diffuses out. It's a little bit warmer than I thought it was gonna be though, I'm not gonna lie. It kind of looks like it would be a little bit cooler, at least in my eyeballs. Maybe I'm colorblind or something. Sometimes things look so much cooler when I'm looking at them up close in person, and then they, like back on camera, they definitely look warm. And then like here, it was just warmer than I wanted, is my point, but it's a beautiful formula. And I actually do like just swiping this onto the cheeks. All right, these ones from NYX, the Buttermelt Blush, I have, as you can see, 4 different shades. I don't know if I'm gonna hold on to all 4 of them. I think I have swatched them recently and I was like, no, I can't let them go. I have Gettin' Butta, You Know Butta, For the Butta, sooner the better. These names though, I don't like saying them. This one's kind of a hot pink shade. Do I want this? I honestly, I don't know if I want that one. I think I want all the other ones. That one I think is the matte formula. Can't remember. This is the shimmering rose. No, so that one's like shimmering. This one here is stunning because it's like the hot pink on gold, or like gold on hot pink rather, but not like too intense like the one that I got rid of from Colored Rain that you can't diffuse out. This is teetering on that though. This is like one of those blush that is super intense. Like you don't get to diffuse this out super well, even with a super fluffy brush. So I might not hold on to Shimmering Rose. I don't know. And this one, it was the soft mauve. So this was the only matte shade that I had. My kitty just came in here and laid down with me. He's like on the floor, like right next to me. He's so cute. This one I really like. Which one do I want? Shimmering Rose or this one? I just don't know if I need all 4 of them. I got them to try on camera. This one is the Shimmering Tangerine, which is also pretty freaking intense, but I like the shimmer. All right, I've kind of been sitting with it for a minute. I think the hot pink shade is gonna go because I honestly, I don't even reach for this one that often. It's not that shimmery either. And it's between this one and this one. Doesn't even look like hot pink packaging. See it next to it? Does it like kind of look more hot pink? Anyway, I think I'm just gonna pass this one along because I like these 3 shades, but they're definitely a little bit of a trickier formula to work with. $56. I'm keeping 56 different powder blush. That's a lot. I got it all to fit into the bin this time though. All right, let's see what we are decluttering in the powder category. Okay, we're getting rid of 14. That's not bad. I mean, for me, I'm thinking 14 frees up space. Can I get all 56 in one drawer? Maybe now I can, I don't know. I thought I was gonna get rid of 5. Pretty much. I mean, 5 or 6. I didn't think I was going to get rid of 14, but I'm happy that I did. I think there are more that I'm going to end up getting rid of in the cream and liquid category. I think we'll just keep trekking on and we'll go through the cream and liquids next, you guys. Okay, we are back with the cream potted stuff. We will do the sticks probably separately, but I didn't get all of the creams to fit in here, so I just figured that I would do this in like one more small bin of the cream potted stuff. So let me move this aside. I know that we're gonna get rid of some again, but you guys, it's probably more than my powders, but it's not gonna be like intense. I do have one of the Pretty Grunge blush glosses from Huda Beauty. This came out with the Pretty Grunge collection, and I do like this. It's one of those like clear blush, but then when you put it on, it's pH changing, and it's actually pretty nice. Like, it takes a second to warm up, but then it turns like this pink color, and it is pretty on the cheeks. It's just that this gloss has like gotten kind of hard and like sticky, and yeah, I don't know. I probably talked about even like, getting rid of this at some point. It's not even like pH changing anymore. So I'm just, on this one, I'm for sure gonna pass along. Here's another formula that I love, that I feel like I would love to get more shades in this, and I think I've even gone back, but I really should give more love to this one. It's the Cheek Clapper from One Size, and this one is in Very That. It comes with a cream, a matte powder. Oh, I love this. Like, I've made it even a dent in the cream, and then a shimmery powder. And I love every one of these formulas. Okay, I didn't pick up enough here. They're all super stunning. This is like a cream to powder. This matte is perfect, and then the shimmer is probably one of my favorite in the palette. Each of the formulas just performs so well, and they're pretty intense though. Like, the pigmentation, especially on the cream side, is a little bit intense, and it's not like overly glossy. It's more like a cream to powder. You know, you can kind of see that it's a little bit whipped in there, but I absolutely love this. I, again, would get more shades in this. She stays. All right, this one from LYS is one of my oldest blushes in my collection, and I probably even talked about getting rid of this already, but it just hasn't left yet. It's about to leave. Higher Standard Satin Matte Cream Blush in Self Love. It's just old. I tried to put it in my project pan. I couldn't pan it. I made a little hole dent in it, but I couldn't do more than that. It's honestly in self-love. It's just a little bit intense. It's very saturated with pigment and I could never diffuse it out. And so every time I wore it, I always felt I was struggling a little bit because it was so intense. So I'm gonna move it along. Here's another formula that I have, another shade in my cart, the Stila Convertible Blush. This one is in Gerbera. Like, you have to go to the Stila website. They don't sell Gerbera and Ulta. This is so good. It's creamy and thick and juicy, but nice and pigmented. Can you even see the gloss? It's delicious. I love this. So this one for sure stays. It's still one of my favorite cream compact formulas, like no kidding. And then I love this one from Simi Haze, Solar Tint Blush Duo in Tropic. It comes with one matte cream and then one radiant. I think this is so good. It looks super flattering on the cheeks, and just depending upon what you want, you can get one that's dewy or a more, I don't know, intensely pigmented kind of matte dry down formula. I think this is so good, so I'm still holding on to that one too. All right, here are 5 more, and I think there are definitely some in here that are gonna go. All right, the Ritual Defee, this is the Inner Glow Cream Pigment in Desire. I used to not love this, and then I loved it. I didn't like it at all, and then I fell in love with it because it's such a cool tone shade, and I didn't like it because it was kind of sticky. And then when I started liking like Radiant, like a little bit heavier kind of stick blushes, I realized this is such a cool, very unique, cool toned, like purple shade. It's so beautiful. I just don't have very many shades like this. So this one for sure stays. And then I have 3 of the Fenty cream blushes, and I got these so late. I got these much later than they were popular when they came out. The Cheeks Out Freestyle Cream Blush. This one is in Riri, which is probably my favorite, but I didn't realize that they were gonna be like quite as sheer as they winded up being. Like when you buff these out, they're a little bit sheer. And I think I even talked about these probably not staying. I didn't love the formula. It's not remarkable in my collection. This one is in Fuego Flush, I'm pretty sure. I just didn't like the way that they diffused out. They just diffused into very little pigment. And this one was Strawberry Drip. They look more pigmented on the swatch, but yeah, once you start blending them in, they lose a lot of that. And then they kind of look like a flush of color, and I kind of like more pigment than this, you know, just a little bit more saturated. So I'm gonna pass all 3 of those along. All right, this is one of the cream blushes from Sigma that I actually really like in Corderosa. I think Corderosa is like a really popular shade, which is surprising because it's such a warm toned nude. I don't hear a lot of people loving warm tones. And it's kind of terracotta, you know, like a little bit when you start swatching it out. Like it really is very warm toned. But I love this formula. See like the difference between the saturation of the Fenty's? Like this is kind of what I like, you know? It doesn't even have to be this dense. It needs to not sheer too much for me, I think is what it is. So anyway, I'm gonna hold on to this. And then this is the Mauve Beauty Cream Blush in M72. I love the Mauve Beauty blushes because they're like clay formulas. I like all their stuff really, except maybe the Sparkle Balm and the highlighter. That one's maybe a little bit weird of a formula, but this is a cream to powder, and this looks diffused and airbrushing on the cheeks and all of that good stuff. And I think it's just like a true warmer toned mauve shade, so I'm holding on to that one as well. All right, you guys, the next 5 here. This one from Buxom is one of the new releases that they came out with, the Plump Shot Collagen Peptides Plumping Blush in Cheeky Dolly. Well, did I just declutter Dolly? No, I decluttered Seychelles. This particular color reminds me of Seychelles, but in a cream form. It's like almost red. It's so terracotta. I really dislike this shade. This shade is way too densely pigmented on me, and it's not even what Dolly looks like. Dolly in the powder is more mauve-y, and this is straight up like terracotta, so I'm gonna pass that along. It's not like a bad formula, it's just like, it's pretty intense, so I don't understand why the shades differ. All right, this is one of the Jelly Dough blushers from Holika Holika, and this one is in the shade Grapefruit Jelly. I've loved this over the years. It's a cream to powder formula. I've made a little mushy dent in it. I like cream to powders. I just showed you the one from Mob Beauty that's really similar. Part of it is because they're so airbrushing. They're almost like powder. So it's so smooth on the cheeks. You couldn't get smoother, you know, unless you went powder. So I love this, and I'm holding on to that one. These are from M Cosmetics, are fairly similar. The Pillow Plush Blushes, and this one is in Tickled. When these launched, they only came in the 2 shades. You can't get much smoother unless you went to a powder, because they're like a mushy cream formula, which I don't mind. I don't. Some of my favorites like this, they're really mushy, and they might not be everybody's preference. That one's peanut there. It's like a warmer mauve. But like, I'll just take the end of a sponge and I just twirl it in there and like to make a mess of it. It's my blush, right? Might as well have fun. And then I bounce it onto the cheeks, and it's like, oh, it always looks so good. So I don't mind that it's like mushy and dry like this. It's very like clay-like. And there is something super beautiful about that on the skin. And I've just been enjoying like the simplicity of those kind of puttier products. So I'm definitely holding on to both of these. All right, I have another cream blush from Colored Rain. This one is in Floral. I think that was just the shade. And I talked about this in my speed reviews too. This is like a whipped moussey texture. And while I love like whipped moussey textures like this, they're super dry feeling, like textured and dry. They just go on easily and they never get patchy, but it's too hot pink. So I am gonna pass it along. All right, I'm cheating and I'm grabbing 6 this time, but it feels like it'll fit in frame. Let's go over the Oma Beauty by Sharon C one first. This is the one brand that she sells in CVS and Walmart from the Oma Beauty line. Flawless IRL Blush in Audacity. You see how like similar these were? I mean, Moira and Oma, I'm sure were coming after Tower 28 there. It's a kind of similar formula, except it's not as whipped. Like this is a smoother texture. This one is like more of a terracotta shade. This is made in Italy. It's gorgeous. It blends perfectly. Like it's just the edges blend out like perfectly. Honestly, if you guys have not tried this and you love testing new cream formulas, if you're in CVS, you just happen to be there to get something, anything, who knows, Halloween candy. This is a blush to check out for sure. I'm holding on to that. All right, the 2 ones from Tower 28. The Beach Please blushes. I have Happy Hour, which I kind of more recently picked up, but again, you guys, it's the hot pink shade. I was trying to get a different shade in this blush, and I don't think there's another shade that I really love. And then this one here is in Magic Hour that I've had for a while, but it still seems to be rolling. This is such a beautiful nude shade. It's like even kind of really warm and terracotta-like, but I didn't love this one in Magic Hour, so I'm gonna pass Magic Hour along and then hold on to that one. All right, this one from Moira Beauty is another pretty warm shade too. This one is the Love Heat Cream Blush in I Respect You. And it's funny because I decluttered the other shade that I had from Moira Beauty because it was too kind of hot pink of a shade. But this one I feel like is like too terracotta. Like I just haven't found a shade in this freaking formula that I absolutely love. Like not that this is bad, this is definitely more up my alley, but I would like just like a mauvey, pinky peach shade. But I love the formula. This is so much more similar to the Tower 28 than the Oma Beauty. This one is like harder pressed and silkier. Like these are both more whipped, moussier textures, but I love all 3 of them. Like I just happened to get them all in pretty much the same shade. Anyway, I would have liked to have diversified there, but I didn't. All right, this one from Milani, I would almost say that the one from Oma Beauty is more similar to Milani. Just like a little bit more hard pressed, more of a balm. No, it's not. It feels similar when you touch it, but Milani is just more sheer, more emollient. I never find that this blush swatches the greatest, but it's beautiful on the cheeks nonetheless, because it buffs out nicely. This one is in Cheek Kiss, holding on to that one. The last one from Honest Beauty is Cream Cheek and Lip Color in Rose Pink. I've had this in my project pan for so long. It's really old and I keep going for it, and it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful formula and it's got radiance to it. I'm gonna hold on to it. I'm not ready to part with it just yet. Okay, here's the next 5. So I have 2 from Makeup by Mario, the Soft Pop Plumping Blush Veil. This one is in Barely Blushing. These go nowhere. These are gorgeous. Like for a flush of color, They're like a harder pressed balm, but they're really like truly a balm. But yeah, they just give you like this really diffused look on the cheeks. I changed the brightness a little. Like the fluorescent was coming from one direction, so I kind of changed it and turned down the brightness of the camera. Hopefully it's still good. And then this one is in just peachy. Very flush of color. You know, just super emollient. You could go ham on them and you probably just could never overdo it. They're just a really nice formula to have in your collection. Even if you want something more intense for the day, there's just such a time and a place for these, I think. And this one from the Creme Shop is the Cream Blush Balm in Love Struck. While this is a nice formula, it is not a good shade for me. It's pretty similar to, like, even the Milani, for example. Maybe not quite as emollient as the Cheek Kiss one, but the shade is too red, and I don't wear red blush. I don't think it looks like really good on me. Or maybe it does and I just don't like it, so I am gonna pass that one along. And then this one from IT Cosmetics, the Glow with Confidence Sun Blush. It is the Blush Plus Bronzer in Sunlit. I love this. You can see I've like hit it up with my brush pretty crazily. It's pretty intensely pigmented, but it's like this whipped consistency, but it's really thin. It's like a really thin whipped texture. It's kind of cool. It's very unique. It kind of feels cold going onto the skin. And it's really pretty on the face. I don't think I would use it as like a standalone product, but it is kind of a unique formula in my collection. I don't have anything that's like whipped, but thin and densely pigmented that gives you that radiant cheek, like in that combination. So I have been loving that. It's been one of my favorite releases of this year so far. And then the last one here is from About Face. It's one of the Cheek Freak blush balms, and this one is in Quickie. I used to have two shades, and I really loved this formula because it's like a more emollient version of these ones. It reminds me a lot of K-Beauty, but it's older in my collection. Look how pretty it swatches out though. It's just older. I've had it so long. I don't know. I even thought I was gonna get rid of this one. Do I have another? You guys, I really thought I was gonna get rid of this one, but I don't think I am. I had another one and I ended up decluttering it already, and I think I thought I was gonna declutter this one, or maybe even said that I was going to, but this swatch tells me that I need to pull it back out and like chopping block it, because this really is such a beautiful formula. It's not super intensely pigmented, and it may not be everybody's cup of tea. The way that it performs is like airbrushing and kind of putty-like, and it diffuses out really nicely, and not super saturated either. And again, there's a time and a place for products like this in my collection, so I am gonna hold on to it. Here's another 6. I have 2 from Patrick Ta. This is the duo, Double Take Cream and Powder Blush Duo, and Do We Know Her, which is my oldest shade, and then Not Too Much was one of the new shades that released. This one was one of the 3 new shades that came out, which is absolutely my favorite. This is more like a balm-like formula as far as the cream goes. I would say it's like definitely more sheer. It's more pigmented than the Makeup by Mario, but it's just more balm-like. And this is just your pretty standard powder blush formula. I mean, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. These are like, you don't need to think when you put these on. Just kind of like apply and go. They're kind of foolproof if you ask me. But I mean, you have to like kind of a radiant blush if you wear these. But anyway, both of these are going to stay. Alright you guys, I have one blush here from Bosma that's the cream blush in mauve. This is a more sheer balm, and it's maybe a little bit like glossy and sticky. Yeah, you can't build this up super intensely, but it's pretty. It kind of reminds me of the Lawless one, the Pinch My Cheek Soft Blur Cream Blush and Rosebud. Been up here too long. I mean, they're not terribly dissimilar shades either. This one is not as sticky from Lawless. This one is more of a cream feel, like a cream to powder feel from Lawless. So it diffuses a little bit nicer. And the one from Bosma remains a little bit sticky, but they have similar like diffusing qualities on the cheeks. They're just a little bit more blurring than some of my other blush. But this one is almost like a soft matte finish, where this one has a little bit of radiance to it. But I'm holding on to both of these. I do really enjoy these. Alright, and these 2 from ColourPop, I want to say I had like 5 of the 8 shades that initially launched. These are the Natural Matte Cream Blushes. This one was in Coyote, which I held on to because it was purple. And then I held on to Sunset Strip because it's kind of a terracotta, but it, you know what, I'm looking at it now, it's like a little bit red. I have hated these products. I'm not joking. Like, they came smashed mirrors, some of them smelt, all of them have been coming out on me. They're very cheaply made, very, very cheap. And even for $8, I don't think that's good enough. I held on to these two shades because they were the most unique. And I even liked this red because it was kind of pink, but this overblends. It's like the Cheek Freak from About Face. Maybe it's more like the Lawless because it has a really diffusing quality and it's a drier formula, but these don't perform that well. They're just not intensely pigmented. Again, they came out, some of my mirrors were smashed, they fade off very quickly. One of them stunk, and like one of them ended up changing colors. So I didn't love them. I think that I wanted to hold on to them for like reference, for example, but I don't prefer them like as far as formulas go. And this is just not a shade that I'm really reaching for ever. I think though, having swatched this one, like I like the purple. I like it. It's cool. I probably only have like one other blush that's kind of like purple like this, but I wish I would get more purple shades because for whatever reason, I love the way purple looks on my cheeks. So I'm going to hold on to the purple one for now, and I'm going to declutter this one. All right, we'll do 6 in this round because these are little small babies here. Now, speaking of like purple blush, I think that Phytosurgeons has probably my next like closest purple shade, and I think it's in Fume. These are the Skin Spark blushes. I think they're both, yeah, the Skin Spark blushes. This one is like a truly cool, almost purple shade. It's a little bit more warm than the one from ColourPop. This is like a moussier kind of whipped texture and completely reminds me of this formula right here. They're super similar. They're thin, but they're like whipped, and then, oh my gosh, and they're glossy. They're very similar. The It Cosmetics and the Phytosurgeons, I'm not even kidding you guys, they're like super, super similar. So if you can't get your hand on a shade of the Phytosurgeons, although the Phytosurgeons comes in like way better shades, that's what they remind me of, probably why I liked this formula so much from It Cosmetics. That was Fume, and this one is in Condensate. Maybe this one's the purpley shade. Yeah, this one's the more kind of purpley shade. The other one's a little bit more mauve. I was just kind of remembering incorrectly. Like, it's almost purple. I don't know. I don't know why I'm screaming about it, but I love this formula. Probably because I've been filming for so freaking long at this point. Hope you guys are enjoying the commentary. All right, Rowan actually has kind of a purpley shade to it. This is the Natural Rose. This is one of their cream blushes. Nope, I was totally wrong. You know what I'm thinking of? My Ritual Defeat, not my Rowan. My Ritual Defeat is like almost purple. Have we even gone over that one? Yes, we did. That was like one of the first blushes that we went over. Anyway, it's nice. I don't think I love this particular blush over some. I like how light it is when it gets to the cheeks and how natural it looks, but it's so sticky. It's my stickiest blush ever. I think this one went on the chopping block. It'll probably go back on the chopping block. I still don't love it. Swatches aren't everything. Sometimes on the cheeks, it makes such a difference. All right, this one from Colored Rain is another new one. It's the Copper Rose Cream Blush, and I got rid of the other two Colored Rain ones that I had, but I held on to this one because it's such a like formula that we've seen many times, and it's one that I understand. You know, it's a $2 blush. It's like perfectly fine, and it's more lightly pigmented than the other two, which are super dense. I think like one was the whipped texture and one was the highlighting blush, so I held on to this one. I don't know, when I compare it against some of my other blush formulas in my collection, it's similar, and I have similar ones, and so I don't know how long I'll hold on to this, but I mean, I like supporting indie brands, and this was really cheap, you guys. I got this on sale at like $2, so I don't even know if this is still on her website anymore or not, but I'm gonna hold on to it for now. All right, this one from Curewise came out of my reference library because I decided I was gonna get rid of this some time ago because it's in the really popular shade, but it turns like gray on my cheeks. But you know what? I think I'm gonna pull this sucker back out. I think I really am. I think I'm gonna like use this again and see how I feel about it. The thing is, this one has a little bit of sheen to it, and so like when you turn certain ways, it's like, oh, my cheek looked gray, which just happens with these kind of dustier mauve-y shades. I think is kind of what can happen, especially if they're shimmery. I think they have a tendency to look a little bit like gray on the cheek. So I'm probably gonna pull this one back out to decide whether or not I'm gonna finally get rid of it. Part of the reason I kept it in there is because I couldn't find my little thing to pop it out. I probably would have passed it along already, but I'm taking it out of reference, as I do sometimes, back and forth. That's kind of why I keep those items in there. Because sometimes I re-love things that I didn't love before. It just happens. And then what do? You know? You don't have it. You gotta rebuy it. Anyway, I'm gonna pull this one back out. And then this last one here is from RMS Beauty that really nobody talks about this formula. It's the Lip to Cheek in Demure. Isn't that funny? This one's like a hot pink, but it's kind of like hard pressed and it's a little bit desaturated, so you don't get like a ton of pigment, and it's not like super hot pink on the cheeks. It's like the one hot pink blush I will tolerate, basically. It's sticky though, you know, it's not a formula that I feel like is for everybody. I would love to see what RMS can do with other cream products in blush, you know, instead of just this formula. I'd love to see what else she could do. I think we'd all jump on that. Alright, you guys, these are the last of them. This is it. The rest are my stick creams, and then I have liquids. Pretty sure. Some are like creams, but they're in a tube, so I kind of count them as liquid. So these are the last of like the potted ones. I have 2 of the Giorgio Armani Neo Nude Melting Color Balms. I have one in 60 that's newer to me. And I got this because they're so hard to find. A lot of the shades are sold out on the Giorgio Armani website even. And then this one is in 30, which is the same shade as the powder blush that I have. But this just didn't come out what I was hoping. Like this Neo Nude Melting Color Balm, like this one in 30 is like incredible. Boop. But then this one is like, what happened? It's just dry, and it was not pigmented enough. This one is so creamy, and maybe if I added something to this one it would be better, but like that's not at all what I was expecting from this, like super dry formula. And I didn't love the shade. I thought I would, and I picked it up because there were very limited shades, but this one is just immensely creamy and can go on for days. So I'm totally gonna pass this one along right here, because it's made for a deeper skin tone. I'm still gonna hold on to this one because even though this one's older, it's still creamier. All right, we'll definitely not be letting these guys go. The Melt Cream Blush Lights Honey Thief. Oh, these are so good. These are so good. They're pigmented. They're like a melty cream, but they're kind of like a whipped texture. They're just delish. They are delish. I need to get more love out of these. This one's like a little bit more sheer than the other one, I've noticed. Oh, that one's in Pink Sand, and that one is Honey Thief. But these are for sure staying. They're still one of my favorite cream blush formulas in my collection. They stand the test of time, I have to say. All right, the 2 from ColourPop. I've talked about this Super Shock formula for blush not being my favorite. But one thing that they don't carry a lot of, like anywhere, on their website, at Ulta, they don't carry this finish. They do carry this though. This is the matte version. This one's Count Me In. So I definitely talked about getting rid of this because this is just like, you know, this is not bad like this, because it's kind of like the K-Beauty ones, but it's hard. It's really hard to pick up product. So much more so than the one that I showed you from Holika Holika, and then the ones from M Cosmetics. For whatever reason, I have such a hard time getting this up. So I'm gonna pass this along because I've just talked about not loving that formula in the past. And then this one though, okay, this one's technically like more powdery even, but still creamier. I don't know. It's the Super Shock Cheek in the Pearlized finish, and this one is in No Way. I think I picked this up at Target like 2 years ago at this point, but it's still deliciously creamy. It's just not the same formulation. That is stunning, and it's shimmery and gorgeous, and this one's like dry, and like I don't like it, but I love this one. This even reminds me in the shade of like the blush from Lancome. Like almost the gold overspray on top of kind of a hot pink. So if you can find these and you like a shimmery blush and the pearlized finish, I think they're fabulous. So I'm holding on to that one, but I will never repurchase another matte formulation, the Super Shock Cheek. And I know that you guys have told me how much you love it and that I must have a dry one. This is even another one in my collection and I don't like it. I've tried, it's just not for me. All right, this from Believe Beauty I've had for so many years now. I'm not getting rid of it. The Color Me Cream Blush in Doll Face. I don't care. I don't care. It's gonna have to grow something because I will keep it. All right, this is deliciously delicious. This is affordable. Not my most affordable blush anymore. The one that I showed you from Unique Beauty was $4. The one from Colored Rain when they were on sale were $2. So anyway, the point is this is gorgeous. It's like intensely pigmented, but it again kind of looks airbrushing. It lasts all freaking day. It's such a beautiful shade too. Oh my gosh. It is like a warmer toned pink. I freaking love it. Keeping it. All right, guys, moving on. This is a new day. I had to call it quits yesterday. I was really starting to lose my voice and not feeling so well. So now we're back, and this is the rest of the cream potted products. So let's go through these really quickly. All right, this looks good because it's in frame here. I've got one from Tarte. This is another formula that I would like to get more shades in because I really like this. It's the Maracuja Juicy Blush in Rose. They don't have a ton of shades in this, so I shouldn't say that like I want more shades, because I actually would like to see a shade expansion, because there's really probably not another shade for me that would work in this formula. Like, it's gorgeous in this one shade and I'm like happy with it, but yeah, Tarte definitely I feel like needs to come out with more shades here. This is kind of a stickier blush, but I love how juicy it looks on the cheeks. I love how radiant it is. I like the pigment and I like the way that it blends out. So that's one of my favorite cream compact blushes. And then I have 3 from Danessa Myricks. Another blush that I would love to see like more shades that would work for lighter skin tones in this, because I feel like this is probably the only shade in Rosé and Brunch that would work for me. This is the Yummy Skin. I think these are just called the Blurring Blushes, but it's not really on the packaging. This one is more of a cream to powder formula, and this was one of my favorite releases last year. It's so nice in application. It just performs super well. It really does look kind of blurring on the skin and it blends in perfectly. It's pretty pigmented, but you know, the shade is just so intense anyway. I feel like a lot of the shades from this line are made more for deeper skin tones. So I like it. It's just, I wanted to pick up another shade and all the other shades just seem too deep for me. So I picked these 2 up in the low lighters from Danessa Myricks. This one is in Low Key, which is like a peach shade, and then this one, which is in Unbothered, which is a pink shade. And I picked these up because I wanted to use them as blush, even though they're kind of like they're a hybrid, I think, but like more of a highlighting formula. And they're also like a cream to powder with the Upsolite that Danessa puts in a lot of stuff. But these have a little bit of sheen to them, so they're not like completely kind of cream to powder matte like the blushes are, but they work better for me as blush, so I keep them with my blush. But these ones are even more dry feeling than the blush, which is kind of what you'd want to see, I think, in a highlighter formula, because like a blush could be a little bit radiant, but I definitely like to see my highlighters dry down quite a bit. Anyway, those are both of those. That's kind of why I picked up 2 shades, because I thought it would be a similar formula, and I thought it would be a nice replacement to the blushes that I couldn't get in lighter shades. So these 2 are again some of my favorites. These are the Glow Sculpts from Saie. I don't love a lot of things from Saie, I'm finding. There are a ton of things that are popular from the brand, but I just don't personally get along with them super well. But these were one of my favorite releases last year. These got to be my favorite products from Saie. Like overall, concealers, the newest one, it's okay. The other Radiant High Beam, whatever that one was, leaked. My blush, my bronzer, they all leaked on me. But like, these are my favorite Saie products. Like the only uncomplicated formula of theirs that I own. So I love these. Anyway, this is Mauve Glow. These are kind of like a chunkier formula. Like they're definitely more textured, but I love the radiance on these. Like Mauve Glow's my favorite. And I can't remember which one I had first. Peach Glow probably, but they have just a little bit of sheen to them. Look at that Tarte one, is so juicy. They're a drier formula though, but they stay all day. They're just really uncomplicated in my opinion. And these are removable compacts too. Can you even like see it just has a little bit of sheen to it, but I don't think it adds any real texture to the cheek, so I absolutely love this formula, and both of these will be staying. All right, here's another 5. I think all of these are probably gonna stay too. I like a lot of these ones in here, so I'm probably gonna keep them. That might be why they're all like together. This one from Rose Inc is the Lip and Cheek color in Camellia. Camellia, I think is how it's pronounced. I actually feel similarly with Rose Inc like I do with Say. Like I hear a lot of people say that they like maybe the foundation or the concealer was a popular one, I feel like, for very cool tones. But I disliked all of Rose Inc products that I tried so far. This is the only thing that I have held on to because I really like this. It's a thicker texture, you can see it in there. It's whipped. It's pretty intensely pigmented, but it lasts all day. I like a whipped blush. I don't find any problem with it. It's a little bit melty though, like thicker and maybe not everybody's cup of tea, but as it pertains to blush, I will tolerate a lot as long as the application process is good and it lasts on the skin. I mean, it doesn't even have to last, but I do like a blush that doesn't fade off in 5 minutes. This is just that. And I don't mind that the texture is just a little bit weird, so I'm definitely holding on to that one. And then this one from Kaja is the Mochi Pop, which I don't even think you can get like on Sephora's website. I wonder where I got this. It's quite old in my collection. It's the Bouncy Blendable Blush in Atmosphere, and they may not even make this anymore. But it's another like super airbrush looking blush formula that just like buffs out perfectly, and it's on the drier side. It's one of those like putty textures, but I have held onto this thing and it's like kept it pretty good. It's not terribly dissimilar to the Glow Play blush from MAC. This one is like the older, not packaging necessarily, but the name hasn't been changed, and this one is in Cheer Up, which is a peachy shade, but this is a little bit of a maybe a more squishy formula than the Kaja one, but like super similar. I had this peachy one for quite a while, and then that's what made me want to get another one in a different shade, a more neutral shade, when they renamed. I don't think they reformulated, but definitely renamed. And the one from Half Magic, honestly, is not that dissimilar either. This one is the Cheek Fluff in Don't Be a Doll, and it comes in like this egg carton packaging. Oh, I've definitely like made nail imprints in here opening it. You can see the pan imprint already because I dig pretty hard in like the center. This one is even more of a dry formula, I would say, than maybe the other two, but same principle, very airbrush looking, very easy to get onto the cheeks. I like a cream to powder formula. I mean, I like them all. Anyway, I think that is another beautiful formula. Laura Mercier doesn't even make these anymore. This is a cream cheek color in Praline, and I'm pretty sure I got this because of Mel Thompson. Like one of the later videos that she made before she passed was like talking about this, I feel like, and saying it's like a totally underrated product in really the shade probably because it's like a warm nude. It's just kind of gorgeous. Like I feel like it would look good on a lot of different skin tones. It's really pretty and it still is kicking. It's still creamy and delicious and looks good and, you know, doesn't smell or anything. So I hold on to it. And I don't know why Laura Mercier took these away, but I can't find them, but it stays. All right, these are the last 4 here. These are all gonna stay also. The Seraphine Botanicals, I got this in a BoxyCharm some time ago, but it was one of my favorite products that I ever got from my subscription. This is a Primrose and Cheek Lip and Cheek Cream palette, and this didn't really come in a shade. I feel like they still have a version of this on their website. This one I think was made like specifically for BoxyCharm. Oh yeah, it says it right there. But they have this kind of palette on their website. And it may not be these exact shades, but they still carry it. And I've thought about decluttering it many times actually, because I was like, I don't even reach for this that much. But like I can't. The pigmentation here is fabulous. The way that these pick up on a sponge or a brush and blend onto the cheeks are great. And this is one of my longest lasting formulas in my collection. And I like all of these shades. The thing is, like, sometimes when you can diffuse a blush out and it's in kind of this red shade, it looks super flattering. But if you can't and it's too dense or it has too much blue, then I don't think it looks good on me, on my cheeks per se. But these are more berry colored when they get to my skin. And I think this formula is super beautiful. This is a super expensive little palette because this brand is pretty pricey anyway. I don't know anything about them really, just that when this came and I looked it up, they have nice items on their website, but they're all very expensive. Anyway, I think that I probably will hold on to this thing until like the end of time, until it goes bad. Because I've made up my mind that I really enjoy that, and as long as it's not a product that turns, like I enjoy its performance every time I use it. This one from KVD I would say is kind of similar, and I talked about this in my Best of Beauty so far in 2024, and I actually like both of these shades. This is one of the new Good Apple Blush Balm duos. This is Secret Thicket, so Hollowed Apple I'm pretty sure, and then Hidden Apple. They name these shades separately. But I like this formula, and I've talked about this in my bronzer video. The bronzer and sculpting one that they came out with. This is like intensely pigmented, but again, like you can really diffuse this out. This is like a super creamy formula, as you can see. Like I have a lot left over, but these are so beautiful in the skin. Like they really do diffuse out and last all day. You know, if you pick up just a tiny bit and tap it off in the back of your hand and then go into your cheeks, I think it's just gorgeous. I really do. So I really like this formula. I don't hear enough people talking about it, but it might be a preference thing in terms of like how creamy and kind of chunky these get. I don't mind it, and I think it's gorgeous. I don't think they're entirely flat matte either. I think they do have like a little bit of dewiness even, you know, after they in quote unquote dry down. All right, this is another formula that I love, and this, I think I have another shade in my cart currently. This is from Bobbi Brown. It's the Pot Rouge for lips and cheeks, and this is in Calypso Coral. It's a bright coral shade, so I wanted to get something a little bit more neutral. This is definitely a stiffer, radiant blush, but it's so beautiful. Like, it's nicely pigmented. It's just the way that the pigment is packed in this compact and in this product and the formula that it buffs out perfectly. It's kind of sticky though, so it's definitely, if you're not into a sticky blush, not one I would recommend for you, but I love it. This one is from Wander Beauty. It's the Double Date Lip and Cheek Duo. So the top is in Honeymoon and the bottom has a clear balm highlight, which is in Swipe. And it's just clear, but it's actually really pretty. It actually works pretty well. But the blush formula is really good. It's a little bit sticky, but it's not terribly sticky, but it's just nicely pigmented. It just goes on very easily if you like a radiant blush. So that one is also going to stay. Look at the pigment on all of those. That was like my first pass trying to swipe them. Like all of the ones that I just swatched are intense, and that's probably why I like all of those. All right, you guys, we've held on to 49 different compact cream blushes, and we have only passed along these 12. I am not at all surprised. I only let go of 12 and I held on to 49 because I love cream compact blush. I just love cream and liquid at the current moment. So I have, what did we count? 52, 53 different powder blush. Just in my compacts, I almost have the exact same amount. And that's not even counting my sticks and or my liquids. So I definitely have more in cream and liquid blushes than I do powder blushes. I'm happy with getting rid of 12. Anytime I can get rid of 12, it frees up several spaces, if not all 12 spaces, and gives me more room. So it's not necessarily to keep growing, but the stuff that's in my testing phases won't even fit in my drawer by the time I'm done unless I start making some room. So I love testing the formulas, and I love talking about cream and liquid blush on my channel for you guys because I feel like it's a really popular category, and it's a fun process. It's a fun product to put on your face. So anyway, let's move on to the sticks now. Okay, here are all of the sticks. I don't think there's a ton going. Probably like 5, I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess there's gonna be 5 that'll go. Let's get started. You guys, let's start off with these 6 right here. I think all of these are probably gonna stay. No, maybe one is probably gonna go. All right, this one from Wander Beauty is the On the Glow Blush and Illuminator. So on one side it has a highlighter and one side it has a blush. And I feel like nobody really talks about the blush formula, when it comes to Wander Beauty, but why? I mean, they make such a great blush formula in both their compact and stick. So I really enjoy this. I do really like this shade though. It's kind of like pinky. The Coral Rose is like the combination, I think. Oh no, this is Nude Glow and this is Coral Rose. But both of these I think are worth it on the stick, where sometimes on sticks I feel like I like one over the other, or even when they're like trios or duos or stuff like that. But maybe not my favorite formula, because I'm not a stick highlighter person, I guess is what I should say. I think this is like one of the few stick highlighters that I still have in my collection. I've decluttered most of them because I don't really care for that kind of formula. But anyway, this is gorgeous. This is kind of a deep shade though. I will say that. Like, I don't know, it's more red than coral, or like more red than peach to be coral, I guess. And then I have one from Chanel. This one is in the shade blush number 24. It's the Le Beige Cream Blush. This almost has like gold sparkles in it. I don't think it really translates, but it does have it in there. Like, they're tiny, you know, they're barely there. This is kind of like a cream to powder formula. This doesn't have any radiance to it at all, you know, whereas like the Wander Beauty leaves your cheeks a little tiny bit radiant, and this is more of a blurring formula. It's definitely not like overly pigmented. I would say that I go back and forth on this product as to whether or not I like it, because I think it's good. I do. It's not my favorite stick formula, and it's pretty darn pricey. And I kind of wish I didn't get such an orange shade too, but it's good nonetheless, not bad enough to get rid of it, or, you know, it's good enough to keep. Now these I really like from Pat McGrath, the Peach Divine Blush Legendary Glow Color Bombs. And the names get crazy. This one is in Peach Lotus. This is one of the original shades. So she's had some shade extensions to this, and I really like it because I don't think these are overly saturated. I think they blend out perfectly. I think that the glow is like really nice and it's natural, and these don't fade off immediately. So these are honestly one of my favorite products from Pat McGrath. I'm not even kidding. And then Paradise Peony. Now arguably these are very similar shades once they get to the cheeks. One is intended to be a little bit more peachy, which is this one, but look how similar they look, like especially on my skin tone. So I would love to see if there are other shades in this that I might like, and then I could like pass probably this one along and keep this more pinky one, but get something maybe more neutral. I mean, it's hard because these are so desaturated, but I would like to try. All right, then the Desert Date Cream Multi-Stick from Ami Collet. This one is in the shade Dune. I have to say, I love Ami Collet's products, but this is like one of my least favorite, surprisingly. Maybe it's the shade. That might be what it is, because it does have like a little bit of radiance. It's not like a fully cream to powder formula, but it's not as radiant as say the Pat McGrath blush. But like this shade is almost brown on me. So I want to hold on to this, I think, until maybe I get another shade, because I'm not obsessed with that shade overall. But I do like the formula. It's not as opaque as say Wander Beauty, but it's not as sheer or diffused as the Pat McGrath. You know, it's kind of in between. So it is nice. All right, these ones from AF94, which is the more affordable line, I guess, or brand of Halsey's. These are called the Playdate Multi-Use Cheek and Lip Colors. This one is in First Prize, which is like a pinky. I mean, it's really pretty, but I don't love it as much as this one. I got these at Walmart. This one is like purple, but it has like some sparkles in it. It's in If You Dare, and it's such a unique color in my collection. The only other one that I have that's like this is like from ColourPop, the one you guys saw in the compact. Those, I don't know, natural matte cream blushes that are weird. This is such a beautiful color on me. I liked this one, but just not as much. The orange shade in First Date is gonna have to be on the chopping block. I'm not resolved to getting rid of it yet the way that I thought I was going to. So I've pared down, I feel like, my stick collection. I feel like, okay? I don't even know how many I have, but I do feel like I all of the sticks that I look at, I really do like. And again, probably only gonna get rid of like 5 or 6 of these. So a lot of these you're gonna hear me say that I really like, because I generally don't hold on to the ones that I don't like. I can clearly see which way the table is going. All right, let's do these 6. This is another discontinued product from Summer Fridays, and I don't get it. I don't get it. This is so good. The Blush Balm Stick in Dusty Rose. I mean, are they coming back with this? I loved this last year in 2023. Like, what is the deal? Why do you take away like really good products? I don't understand it. And Summer Fridays has permanent things in their line. It's not like everything is a limited edition collection. But this was like a really nice balm, like true balm, stick balm formula that had a tiny bit of radiance and was more like diffused looking on the cheeks. It was just absolutely gorgeous. So I don't understand why this is gone, but I won't let go of it. I love it. I would have liked to have maybe gotten a pinkier shade because this Dusty Rose is almost like a little red leaning. Now this one from Make Beauty is the Heat Stroke Blush in Inflamed, and this is intense. I keep it because I like to have Make Beauty products because I do like Make Beauty, but I never reach for this, you guys. It's just too orange. It's too vibrant orange. These are pretty intense when they go into the cheeks, even though they look a little bit more sheer, and they're also pretty shiny, so they definitely stand out. Just this shade, all of these shades in general, nothing is very neutral and wearable, the last time I checked anyway, and especially when I feel like these got popularity, or at least like maybe they first launched even sometime in 2022. But anyway, this is just, it's too vibrant for me, so I am going to pass it along because I just never reach for it. And then this one from Nude Sticks is the Nudies Matte with the Glow Core and Rose Glow. This whole thing is dewy. Like, not just the middle, you know? Not just the core is glowy. This is freaking stunning. It's pretty pigmented. It's not like super sheer or anything, and I don't feel like there's a ton of product. Like, look how far down that goes. And I haven't used it that much, you know? Not enough to justify it going down that much. But this is gorgeous. This acts like a cream to powder formula, but has a glow about it. And it's not just the core that's glowy. Like, the whole formula is radiant. Anyway, I absolutely love this formula from Nude Sticks, and I like it better than their Nudies Matte, even though I love the Nudies Matte. You know what? Let's just pull that one out now. I have that one in the nude. I love this one too. This is a little bit more blurring, but I enjoy the other formula better. Even though this one is gorgeous on the skin, it's maybe sometimes a little bit drier than what I'm looking for, but I'm holding on to that one. I have one from Westman Atelier. This is the Baby Cheeks Blush Stick in Petal, which has probably got to be their most popular shade, I'm guessing. Rolled that up too high. Oh, it's like the perfect in-between of creamy and dry and pigmented, but looking blurring, and the packaging is a 10 out of 10, and that shade is also awesome. So everyday wearable shade. I feel like if you like cream blush, you should have this or try it. And then this is my favorite product from REM Beauty. It's a cheek and lipstick in Audition. I haven't tried a ton, but I definitely have tried like a handful of things, and I decluttered everything but this. This shade is maybe a little bit more terracotta and warm than what I'm liking at the current moment, but it has like a good amount of emollients to it, and it buffs out onto the cheeks really well, and it's nice and densely pigmented. Like, it's a really good formula for what it is. And also this lasts all day too, so that one stays. And then this one from Undone Beauty is one of their water blushes, and this one is in Peach. So this one will actually stain me. You know, it looks like bright red, but then when you get it to the cheeks, it's a lot lighter. It's a really nice peach shade, and it feels freezing cold going on. It's like putting like a little ice stick on you. But this is not necessarily my favorite type of product. You know, it gives that really popsicle stain, why am I struggling, effect on the cheeks. And I think that's cool sometimes, but I don't find it the easiest to blend out. I do feel like the one from Milk Makeup actually performs a little bit better than the one from Undone Beauty, because they're similar. Like, they're both staining products, even though this one's like a jelly, you know, it's like soft, and this one's a hard stick. This one just is more emollient and creamy and blends better, and it actually leaves like a little bit of radiance on the cheeks, where this one is flat, just staining, no leftover radiance. So for that reason, I prefer this one more, but also this shade too. I told you guys I like purple. I didn't realize I like purple, but I do. Just something about a more purple and less pink on my cheeks is flattering. I think. I like it. So this one stays, but the Undone Beauty one will go. All right, here are the next 6. This is, again, one of my favorite releases from this year so far. This is from Iconic London. This is in the shade Daiquiri. This is like their blurring blush balm. What is this called? Blurring blush stick. This is very blurring. It's more of a dry formula, but I like that occasionally, you know? I just think it performs really well and it stays all day. And also the shade is gorgeous. Like there's something so sweet about this shade on my cheeks. It's like the perfect in between in Daiquiri. I feel like it's not too pink and not too peach, not too cool, not too warm. It's like, I don't know, something about this just looks really fresh, like the undertone on me. So I'm definitely holding on to that one. And this one from La Bouche Rouge is their Le Blush in the shade Nude. I think they just like call it Le Nude. And it comes like this. Just very simple, and it comes in the recyclable cardboard packaging. This is also like a very blurring formula, very cream to powder. This is not my favorite. Like I would have to say, I don't love when the sticks are like this small. This is kind of like a lipstick for me, and I don't like this kind of shade on my lips at all. It just washes my face out, probably because of my lip tone, my skin tone, or my undertone. So I couldn't use this as like a lip product. It just wouldn't work for me. I like it as a blush shade, but it's so small. It's so hard to get like this applied to the cheeks. It's not a bad product, and nobody talks about La Bouche Rouge. Not even the people that I see talk about like luxury products. I never hear anyone talk about La Bouche Rouge, but it's not my favorite because it's so small and it takes so long, but it is like a very blurring formula, and I like its nude shade. It's a warmer nude, but it's still pretty. And then this one from ABH is just the cream blush stick in Latte. And I think it's like rightfully popular, or was rightfully so, because it's just like this perfect nudie shade that's, again, not too warm, not too cool. Could work for, I think, from very light to medium skin tones very well. So I think this formula is beautiful. It's not like completely flat, and it's quite emollient too, but it's blurring. You can see like how not densely pigmented some of these blushes are in comparison when swatching them out to one another. This next one is a Soft Pop Blush Stick in Sweet Pink from Makeup by Mario. I think this was one of the new shades. This one has a radiance to it that's really quite beautiful, but again, it's kind of a blurring look on the cheeks. It's just not intensely pigmented. I don't find that this packaging, my bronzer totally broke. Anyway, that's gonna stay. And then I have the Pixi On The Glow blush. It's the tinted moisturizer stick in the shade Juicy. I used to love this. I really did, because I like a juicy cheek, but I think it's more like a stain. Oh, please don't get my thing. Oh, there it went. I used to just like swipe this onto the cheeks. Just take the whole thing, swipe it, and then blend it out. But it's a little bit too bright orange, honestly. It's not like, I'm not loving this particular shade. It's a nice, really juicy formula. Like the name is quite fitting for this product, but they're all juicy no matter what shade you get. They're very, very emollient and almost sticky on the cheeks. So anyway, this is just not a shade that I like anymore. I'm just not reaching for that kind of bright shade. So I'm gonna let that one go. And this last one from M Cosmetics is the So Soft Blush Stick in Venetian Rose. You guys saw that I have the powder blush in the same shade. I really do enjoy this formula. This one is more densely pigmented and more of a kind of soft matte finish. I don't think that it's fully flat or fully matte, if you will. I think it has a little tiny bit of sheen because it's a little bit more creamy and emollient. It's not like a super dry formula, say for example like the Nudies Matte is, but it's pretty densely pigmented. So, and it's kind of a deep shade too. So it's something I have to kind of go in with a light hand, but I do like this. I've had this for a while. It's probably one of my oldest stick formulas, but I'm gonna hold on to that one for sure. That's it, you guys. These are the final 8 here. And we're gonna get rid of probably half of these, I think, if I had to guess. All right, these ones from Kiko Milano are the Velvet Touch Creamy Blush Sticks, and I have 08, which is a mauve shade. I talked about getting rid of these because they don't apply super well. They're a drier formula, but they're not quite as good as like the Nudies Matte from Nude Sticks. There's something about them. They just don't apply the absolute greatest because they're a drier formula. This one is 03, which is a peachy shade. I mean, they have like a little bit of emollients and radiance to them, but something about them just doesn't blend out perfectly. And I have so many others in my collection that I reach for more than these. So I talked about getting rid of these. This is their final hurrah. I'm going to pass these along finally. And this one from Revolution is the Fast Base Blush in the shade Rose. This I bought at Target, but it already stunk by the time I got it here. And you guys can see it, like, it doesn't fill up the whole component. It's like kind of loose. It's just weird. I mean, it's pretty. It's kind of a hot pink shade. See, it like even moved in the component. Like, why is it moving around? Why did they make this like this and not just have that plastic piece? Like, enclose it. Anyway, it already smells expired. It smells like crayons already. Kind of a diffused looking blush, and it's also kind of radiant. So it's not a bad formula. It just already stinks. And I don't know, I don't like the component either. And I also don't like the shade. As far as like the product itself goes, I don't like the component, but everything else about it I think is good. It's just expired already. So it's been in their stock too long. I'm passing it along. I'm throwing it away, is what I'm doing. I'm not passing it anywhere but to the trash can. This next one from Kaja is the Dewy Bar in Fig Smoothie. I talked about this being one of my favorite releases of 2024 so far. I think I'm a fan of the Kaja formula, like as it pertains to the cream formulas. Anyway, this one's a little bit more densely pigmented than some of my other sticks, and it's juicy. It's so juicy, but it lasts all day. And I love the way that this applies. It applies so evenly, and the application is just perfect. It blends out perfectly. That's what I think these don't do. They don't blend super well, and they're just like a struggle, you know? So I'm like, no, I've got other stick formulas that are like this, like the Nudies Matte, and I don't know. I have other ones that are just a little bit more on the dry side and blurring than I don't need the Kiko ones. Like, I don't need to struggle because I also have similar shades, and shades I prefer more. But this Kaja Dewy Bar, like, it's unique, not only in like the packaging or whatever, but the shade is really pretty too. I can't describe it. It's more like berry nude. I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever, but that's how I feel. Anyway, I love how juicy it is because I love a juicy cheek, as long as it doesn't fade off. That brings us to the Color Fuse Glassy Blush Balms in Glassy Palmello from House Labs. These came back in stock last night or something, but I think they were out of stock for a while. But guys, these are juicy. Like, if you don't like radiant and juicy cheeks, stay away from both of these products. They are highly, highly reflective. They're very glassy, but I love them. I love them for that reason. And they also last. And this is such a beautiful freaking color in Glassy Palmello. It reminds me a lot of the Daiquiri shade. Something very angelic about these two shades that just on my fair skin. And I'm not usually somebody who reaches for a lighter pink like this, but this is so beautiful. It's not too light. You know, there's just something. God, are these shades so similar? Oh, they totally are. One's just glassier. And this is a little bit more pink. But anyway, I like both of these shades. I just think that they're very angelic. They're so beautiful in the skin. All right, this is the new blush stick from LYS. This one is in the shade Unfazed. I already talked about getting rid of this as well because these shades were all super intense. They're way too creamy for this packaging. Mine already broke, and they're way too densely pigmented. I can never ever diffuse this shade out. It's too deep for me anyway in Unfazed. It's like a very magenta berry color, but I can never get it to look less intense. It's always super intense on the cheeks. And not just that, it fades funny on me because it's so intense. Maybe I'm trying to build it up and like even it out or diffuse it out and then even out some of the color after that. And it always just looks weirdly uneven by the end of the day. So I just can't ever blur this out. It's not a bad formula at all. It's just densely pigmented. So I am gonna pass it along. All right, you guys, the last two here. I have a blush balm from Merit. This one is in Beverly Hills. I actually pulled this out of reference because I've already decluttered it. And I showed you guys the one that I have from Moira Beauty. They're more pigmented. These are more balmy and they fade off faster too. I did a wear test on the Moira ones, and even though they're new to me, they lasted longer. I think this Merit though, I told you guys, it builds up pigment, I mean, almost as well as the one from Moira Beauty. But I don't think that these stay as long. I don't think on first swipe they're quite as pigmented. And I know they're very popular. People like that like kiss of color, but I like something a little bit more intense. And so I kept this for reference and ended up referencing it in a video. And I'm so glad that I held on to it for that reason. That's kind of why I put those things in there, but I'm gonna keep it in reference. I'm not gonna keep this in my permanent collection, especially now that I have the Moira ones that I think I like better. I know I like better. So I'm still gonna keep that one in reference, but I technically have been calling those keeps, but I'm gonna move it over to the declutter. It's not in my permanent collection anyway. This one from Victoria Beckham is the Cheeky Posh in Knickers. This is, again, one of those products that are really tiny. So I don't love them because I find a hard time blending these out. I would say this one and the La Bouche Rouge are super similar. Maybe not in shade because this one's more peachy, but they're kind of a drier formula and I have such a hard time picking these up on a brush, and I feel like you need to because you can't really swipe a super dry formula onto the cheeks and blend it out. It has to have emollients to it in my experience to get it to blend out, and then you don't even know if it's gonna blend evenly. So this picking it up on a brush because it's so small has always been like a little bit of a difficulty for me, so it's not like a super fun application process, if that makes sense. I like the shade and I don't think it's fully matte. It has a little bit of radiance to it. It's not like a fully dry product, but it's definitely a drier formula, if that makes sense. Anyway, she's still gonna stay. I have a hard time letting go of Victoria Beckham products because guess what? I spend my money on all of this stuff, and when it's more expensive, and I don't hate it, I've said this many times, it's so much harder to get rid of. I'm sure it's that way for nearly everyone. 21. We've held on to 21, and I have decluttered these 8. I don't know what the percentage is, but 8 always feels good too. Like I said, anytime that you take up 8, it might take up 2 rows in my drawer. So for me, this feels good. I'll pass these along to my sister. I'll throw the expired one in the trash, and then this one will go back into reference, but not in my permanent collection drawers. All right, we just have the liquids left to go, you guys. I do have a fairly large liquid collection. I think I do, like as far as liquids go. So let's get into it. Okay, you guys, this is all of the liquid blush. I actually think there's some cream in here too. Like sometimes they're in these doe foot applicator style, but they are cream formulas in those tubes. So there might be some of that in here. This is just what I consider my liquid, and I've grown out of the one powder drawer, the one cream drawer, and now I have my own dedicated liquid drawer. So that kind of tells you something. These don't take up a huge ton of space because you can really stack these on top of one another, but there are definitely some formulas in here that it's time to move along, and probably some shades too. So let's get into it. All right, you guys, let's actually start here. I'm gonna go over one that's gonna leave like immediately. I just changed the board. As you can see, this is like kind of my older one, and it needs to go as well because it's been scuffed so many times. The first one that I want to go through is like leaking all over everything, and this is what I was talking to you guys about. These Say ones, even though it was standing up, it was leaking everywhere. How does nobody talk about these? And people love these. Like, this drives me insane that oil leaks out of a product into your stuff. It makes me so upset. The bronzer did the same thing. The concealer did the same thing. Not the newest one, but the original. You guys, I can't stand these. I mean, I'm gonna die on the hill to tell you that these are an absolutely terribly constructed component. I mean, I don't even find this formula very good. It's like what I was telling you guys earlier with the very beginning of this video, where it gets like goopy on there, and I don't even want to set it down over there. Like, it just doesn't blend out super evenly. I always get like the patchiest application to this blush. I mean, it's dewy, it's not dry, it's pretty, but it's always patchy. And I hate how goopy it is, and I hate how much it leaks out everywhere. So I had that to keep. I wasn't gonna get rid of that one. I have decluttered a different shade in the past, but I like this one in Chili. Sorry, I didn't tell you what it was. I think the shade is very beautiful, but the fact that it leaks over everything, I can't even film with these products because it makes a mess and ruins $20 board. Now I'm not going to use that because it had like a big leaky grease spot. Like, nope. No. All right, these next ones from Juvia's Place. I don't remember what these are called, but these are, I believe, like the matte ones. Peach Rose and then Marigold. These are super intensely pigmented. I wouldn't say they're hard to blend out, but they're definitely hard to diffuse. That one is Marigold. You're not really gonna like get, you know, a super light application out of these. I don't think they're bad, just like the LYS, just very pigmented. Too pigmented, I think. I like really pigmented, but I feel like these are too intense for what I'm reaching for right now. So I am gonna pass these along. I think I've even mentioned passing those along probably before. I don't know when, but I had them kind of set aside to go. So now they're going. This one from Ciel is the Blush and Protect in SPF 50. It's the shade January. Oh, the Say is on this one too. I'm losing my mind. I shouldn't even have put it in that container. This one is one of the newer shade releases. They came out with January and June. This is so pretty. It's kind of a more thick texture, but it blends perfectly. I think it has a little bit of radiance, and it's like really baby pink, but it's not hot pink. It's like a cool toned pink, and I like it. It almost has like an extra layer of purple in it. Yeah, the Say oils got on so many of these blush. It's gross. It grosses me out. I can't even tell you how much it grosses me out. Anyway, this is beautiful formula from Ciel, and everything that I've been trying from Ciel lately, I have been absolutely loving. Their new concealer, so good in my opinion. Oh, where are you going? This one is definitely staying. All right, this one from Huda Beauty is the newest blush to her. This is the Blush Filter Liquid Blush. This one is in Strawberry Cream. I don't love this applicator. It's not like, see, it's like a single swipe. You know, you gotta kind of like keep layering it, and not enough product picks up, and it dries so dang fast that I can never get a good application on my cheeks. I'm not loving this. I don't care for this. I really don't. I think that I want to hold on to it for now because it's so new, and I probably will talk about it. Yeah, because it's such a dry formula. It dries too fast that I can't blend it out. It smells like strawberries, or it smells like something tropical and delicious, but I like it on the lips. So I might keep it as a lip product. I'm not sure yet, but it's like this very soft, matte looking lip. Very blurred. It is blurring, I give it that, but it dries so fast I can never get it on the cheeks evenly. It kind of wants to like stay where you put it. So I don't love this as a blush, but I might keep this as a lip product for now. All right, these two here from Juvia's Place are the Radiant Version blushes. This one is in Soft Tulip Glow, which is a peachy shade, and then this pinky one is in Rosy Posy Glow. I will say these come out very similar, and that may have been the intention, I don't know, but they come out very similar on my skin tone. They don't blend out super differently, even though they kind of swatch differently. But these ones have like iridescentness about them. They are a little bit shimmery, so the formula is a little bit different. So they're not like intensely packed opaque pigment. I mean, they kind of are, but you can sheer these out so much better than you can sheer the matte version ones. See how like more peachy this one is than pink? But once you blend them out, they look super similar. But this is a formula that I prefer so much more than these ones. They're just super intense. Also, I don't love this shade either, but I like this formula a lot, and I like these shades too. They're more muted, so I'm gonna hold on to both of those. And then this is a newer product to me from Bella Beauty Bar. It's the Cheeky Dewy Blush, and I have a code with Bella Beauty Bar, you guys. It'll be listed in the description box. I mentioned that I'm trying more things from indie brands that aren't eyeshadows, I like this tip. It prevents it from leaking everywhere. I like this shade too. It's almost like purple. Again, I kind of like these like almost purple shades. It's pretty warm and this is intense. Like the pigment here is opaque. It's definitely dense, but it's creamy and dewy and it blends out perfectly. So I only reach for this if I'm looking for like this shade and something super intense. This blush just lasts all freaking day. So it's actually a really nice release from Bella Beauté Bar. I do enjoy it. I'm gonna hold on to it. All right, let's just go over these. These are all my puff style liquid blush, and I really do love all of them. So none of these are gonna go, you guys. The ultra light liquid blush from Flower Beauty. My dogs are barking right now. That one dog thinks it's his job to bark at the wind. This one here is in Cheeky. He's not actually barking at the wind. There's someone out there, but still. And then Toasty. These are beautiful. This one looks super warm toned, but it's super pretty on the cheeks. Because these are kind of like blurring, they do diffuse out. They're not intensely pigmented. And I think that you can squeeze out less and get less product, but then you can build these up too. I mean, they're intense if you want them to be, but they also last a good amount of time. I would say they're more on the matte side. I like them. I really enjoy them. I think they're as good as the matte blush ones from Charlotte. I've got Pillow Talk. These ones are even like less pigmented. I kind of think they diffuse out a little bit more than the ones from Flower Beauty. They're just a little bit more opaque. And then this one here is in Peach Pop. No, this one is Pink Pop. I like all of these shades from Charlotte. I thought about getting rid of the Peach Pop one, but then I was like, absolutely not. I tried it again and I was like, this is so flattering. Also, I feel like Charlotte has like the best puffies. Of all the puffies that I've been trying lately, hers are constructed the best with the best quality. And there is Peach Pop. Yeah, hers are even more diffused. They're not as intensely opaque as the ones from Flower Beauty, but I still love both. And then Pink Gasm in the Beauty Light Wand. I used to hate this, but I love this now because I love a radiant blush. And I also love something, look at this doe foot. That's so disgusting. I'm still keeping it. It's only touched my cheeks, I don't care. I used to hate on this because it created so much texture on my cheeks where now I don't care. So anyway, all of those stay. I pulled out 7. I think that is 7, 4 or 5. No, that's 8. Okay. A lot of these ones that are like drugstore, I guess for whatever reason, I liked them so much that I tried to buy multiple shades, except these. These I just did for a try on video, but we'll talk about those. These Flower Balms from Flower Beauty are fabulous. They're some of my favorite liquid formula. And I'll die on that hill to say that. Again, I like these applicators because they prevent the product from getting gross, and it saves you from having to do like a gross puffy if you don't want it. But anyway, these are pigmented, but you can also kind of shear them out. Like they have that sheer ability, but they have the buildability. They're kind of a really customizable formula in that way. That one is, what did I say? Melon, and then this one is spiced, I'm pretty sure. They're dewy and they last all day and they're a really easy formula to blend in. They're so gorgeous to me. I highly, highly recommend these if you like a liquid blush. And I think they're your quintessential blush too. You know, a little bit of dewiness to them, but they're decently pigmented. They're an easy formula to work with. They're one of my top 2 liquid blush formulas still. I've tested a lot and I feel like they're still some of my favorite liquid blush formulas. These ones, however, are not. These are the Sun Kisser blushes from Maybelline, and I disliked these. And I was surprised because I like a lot of Maybelline products. This is in Blazing Blush, or that all of the people that were coming out with the liquid doe foot style applicators or just liquid blush in general, Maybelline was going to be the one that was going to do it well. And I think they did them the worst. This one also like really smells. It has a really strong like alcohol-y scent to it. These just don't blend out. This one fades into nothing and like lifts everything else underneath. So you don't get any real pigment. It just lifts everything. So shears away and then takes up my foundation like crazy. Soul Search, probably my favorite out of all of these because it's a little bit of a drier formula. The ones that have like this little bit of sheen to them, it's more metallic. It's not even sheen. It's not like necessarily a glossy formula. It's more coming from that it's got like gold pigments in it. They're kind of drier when they have that, and they're easier to blend in. But again, they just lift and they're not intense enough to really do anything. So you keep building and adding more product and then it just lifts more. Uptown Glow was another terrible one. Very similar to the pink one. Just really watery. Didn't show up and lifted everything. So I did not enjoy. I thought these were one of the worst launches from this year. And then City Sizzle. This one also performs like the second one where it has some texture to it. So it lays down on the cheeks without lifting immediately. It's just got like gold pigment in it, I guess, is what it is. But I don't love this shade. So there's no reason for me to keep any of these. I'm passing all 4 of those on. Goodbye. All right, this one here from NARS is one of the Afterglow liquid blushes that I love. It's in Orgasm. I mean, I love it because it performs really well. It's kind of sheer, but I mean, it shows up and it doesn't pull up anything. And while it's a little bit sheer and a little bit dewy and radiant, it's fine for what it is. I don't mind a formula like this. But look, you can build it up. It gets nice and opaque eventually. And I like the little bit of glow that it has. I actually thought this was a really good release from NARS, so I'm gonna hold on to it. And then I have one Rare Beauty Soft Pinch Liquid Blush, and this one is in the shade Encourage. I've had other shades, but I like this one the best because it's almost purpley. I love these purpley shades. They're just kind of harder to work with, even when they're in like the dewy form, because I feel like they're so intense. But I prefer this kind of pigmentation like so much more than the Say one or the Juvia's Place that are kind of in the matte. So anyway, I'm holding on to that one. All right, I was trying to grab the rest of the doe foots, but I didn't. I've still got more. Anyway, I have multiple shades in all of these but one. And I do like a lot of these formulas, but not all of these are going to stay. So this one here from Tarte was the satin finish of the Maneater liquid blush, the Cheek Plump. And this one was in the shade Mauve. And it's absolutely a beautiful shade. Like, I'm so upset that I didn't love this formula. Something about it just wasn't as good. I don't know. I might actually like hold on to this and like try again because I love this shade so much. There was something about this that just didn't blend in perfectly. I honestly can't remember what it was, but it wasn't, I thought I was gonna love it. I really did. I loved this shade too, but I don't know. I think I'm gonna hold on to it. I thought I was gonna declutter it, but I think I'm gonna try it again, honestly, and see how I feel about it. I'm gonna put it in like another chopping block. I got it because I loved this formula, the Cheek Plump, so much. And this one is in the shade Coral, because this is like a juicy formula that actually blends in pretty well. I don't have any issue getting pigment to show up. I'm having a hard time swatching it today. Hello. It just kind of feels like this is a thicker formula is what it is, and this is thinner. And I wasn't getting the mauve one to show up quite as much as this. This has almost like pearls in it, where this one like kind of doesn't. So maybe that's what it is. Again, it's that drier pearl formula that makes this a little bit easier to blend in and this one harder. I just felt like this one kept shearing out and it wasn't blending out great. So I'll try it one more time to see how I feel about it. Now these ones from Rare Beauty, the Love Steady Liquid Blush, I prefer more than the Juvia's Place. I've got Honey Pie. I mean, they're intense, but they're nicer than the Juvia's Place. They're just, I don't know, they're easier to diffuse out is probably just what it is. I mean, even though they're pretty intense, they're not as intense. You can kind of see, like, they're not as opaque, they're not as thick. And then this one is My Everything. I tried to get pretty different shades. I don't know how I feel about the shades though. Like, I don't know if I prefer one more than the other. I haven't worn these in a while. And then I have My Darling. Seems like I would like all of these shades. I have this similar shade, I think, in the new blush balms that they have, but if I were to get rid of one, it would probably be this one. But I haven't worn it recently enough to really say that. These, I do believe, like have a little bit of dew. They're not like a flat matte, and they're more shearable. They have a shearability that the Juvia's ones don't, so I'm gonna hold on to those. Then the ones from KARIM are the SoCal Super Bloom Lip and Cheek Hydrating Soft Stains. And then I have Heat Wave. These are like different than anything else I have in my collection. They're pigmented, but they're juicy. They're a stain with glossiness. They're so cool, and they smell so good too. They're very unique, very unique. This one is in Wild Flower. I like both of these shades too, but I think Heat Wave is my least favorite. I like this one a little bit more. It's just, I don't know, it's a little bit more cool toned and a little bit more pink than red, but they smell good. They're really unique. They really do stain the cheeks, but they also leave this really nice glossy finish too. And so I think that there are people out there that probably might not like this formula because it's a little bit different. Anyway, I'm holding on to both of those. And then I have two from e.l.f. I have, what shade is that? I love how small the writing is. Dusty Rose. e.l.f. does the tiniest writing on their freaking packaging. These are nice too. Even though these are, I think, a matte formula, they're not as intensely pigmented as the Juvia's Place ones. And then this one is in another shade I can barely read. Coming in Hot Pink. I like the Dusty Rose. I don't love this hot pink one, like at all. So I was just trying to, I don't know, get different shades, and I bought them online. So I'm going to declutter the Coming in Hot Pink, but I'm going to keep Dusty Rose. I do really like this. It's just so much more warm than I thought it was going to be. Like, you know, it's more dusty than rose, if that makes any sense at all. But anyway, I don't hate these, but I don't think I love them over like the Moira ones for sure. Like this one is so hard to work with because it's so intensely pigmented. This one's a lot easier because it's a lighter shade. So anyway, I'm gonna pass this one along and keep this one. And then the final one that I have here is from Give Beauty. It's the Dewy Plump Collagen Cheek Tint, and this one is in the shade Hibiscus. I like this formula. I like the way that this blends in. I don't love this shade. It's so terracotta. This has a nice like juiciness and like dewiness on the cheeks, but I really don't like this shade on me. So I am going to pass this one along. I thought I was going to keep this. I didn't think I was going to declutter it, but I know that every time I use this, I don't enjoy it. So I must pick up a better shade if I want to keep that formula, because otherwise it's probably just going to sit in my collection. Here's the KARIM Stains. All right, here are the next group. I have the Diamond Filler Mineral Wear Cheek and Lip Color from Physicians Formula. This is in Radiant Pink. This is another doe foot style one. I think that I have used this maybe 4 or 5 times at this point, and I do like this. I think it again is pretty intensely pigmented. It's not terribly dissimilar to some of the other ones on doe foots that I've been showing you, but it has like a nice juiciness. So I think that I will hold on to this one. I want to test this one from Winky Lux. This is the Cheeky Rose Liquid Blush in Noble that comes on a puffy, but I think they're very similar. Ooh, they're such a different formula. See, these shades I'm not like such a huge fan of is the problem, that I don't reach for shades like this all that often. So I gotta stop buying them like this. But I honestly only need one. I just don't know which one I want. Oh, they're very different. Like this is very liquidy, and this is almost like a cream formula. It's got a lot more tack to it. And they're both blurrable though, is the thing. I think I'm gonna pass along the Winky Lux one. Actually, you know what? I don't even know which ones I like or don't like. Like, I'd hate to say that and then I pass on one that I prefer over the other. Yeah, I don't know. I might even pass both of them along. But for now, I'm gonna put them in a chopping block because they're newer and I do like them, but I don't love the shades. That's just kind of what it comes down to. Formula is fine, but the shades aren't great. I just have to decide, like, do I keep either of them or do I hold on to one for shade because I prefer the formula more. So for now, they're both gonna stay. And then these ones from Made by Mitchell are the liquid blushers. This one is in Peach Sugar. I might get rid of one shade of this too. These are a drier formula. They're like a cream almost. Even though they're say liquid blush, they're very much like a cream. That's how they blend out. That is a nice peachy shade. I do like that. And then this one is in It's a Shy Boy, or A Shy Boy, sorry. But I think this is one of those shades again that I don't love. No, see, this one's more pink than these, which are more like terracotta. It's kind of hard to tell on camera, but in person, that's what it looks like. So I like this formula because it's drier and it's easier to work with. Again, as far as like a liquid blush goes, I think they have that radiance, but they have texture, which makes them easier to work with. So I'm gonna hold on to both of those. I do like both of those shades. One of my favorite liquid blush formulas is the Hydromaniac Blush Glow Hydrator from Urban Decay. This one is in Wrecked. These are so good. They're nice and juicy though. Like, so if you don't like juicy, then they're not good. But if you like juicy, they're good. See how it's like not intensely pigmented? You can really sheer this out, but it's so juicy on the cheeks. It just looks healthy and delish. And I do like the shade too. It looks like it would be more intense, but like once you blend it out, it's just this really nice flush of pink in Wrecked. So I like that. I'm gonna hold on to it. And then this one from Revolution, I talked about probably my worst of beauty, maybe so far this year. These are the Bright Light Blush Drops in Rosy Pink. I think someone, actually, did these come out last year? No, these came out last year. I'm tripping. I think it was 2023. No, these were this year. The blush balms from Makeup Revolution came out last year that were like duping the ones from Jones Road. This is like super sheer. It looks cool like when you swatch it, but it's so emollient. It's so sheer. Again, it's like the Maybelline ones that it lifts everything underneath. Like I could have gotten a decent swatch out of this, but I just wanted to show you, like, take a brush and not a finger and imagine how much that picks up. I think people like these. I don't love something that sheer that picks up my makeup. So I'm going to pass that along also. All right, these are the last of all my tubes, and these are the last of all of my liquid blush. So let's go through these. Some of these are definitely gonna go. Now these ones from Revlon are actually really good in my opinion. And I have all 4 shades that originally launched. I don't think they've done a shade extension, but surprisingly, every one of these shades works for me. They're like a cream. That's how they feel. They feel like a cream formula, but they have, a blendability that's amazing. And they're almost like a kiss of color, but they don't lift the products underneath. And I think that's the difference. Something like this feels like a really liquidy liquid. And so it just takes up the product instead of like wants to lock down on your face. This purple one is in 140. And then this one is like a mauve shade in 110. I don't know what the shades are aside from that. But these are all stunning on the cheeks. Wow, they're not selling it though. These swatches are not selling my point, I have to say. But they look like a flush of color that like locks down. Again, they're light and like a cream. You can build these up though. And because they're probably so sheer, all the shades work. This one is in 130, which is just like an orangey shade. And then this final one, which I told you guys I don't love reds, is in 120, still works for me and I still love it. Like, oof, it's more pink than red. But yeah, these are like a kiss of color that you can build up that stick to the skin and they don't lift because they're creamy, but they're also very cool. These are their serum blushes, gel serum blush. They're just really interesting and really cool and unique in my collection, and all of these shades really do work for me, so I want to hold on to all of them. At some point I might declutter a shade or two like the red and the orange, but for now they all stay. And also the orange one stains. See that? That one lasts like so much longer than the other ones. It's just the pigment that they're using, I'm sure. Okay, I have 2 Glossier Cloud Paints. I just picked this one up because one of you guys recommended that I try that shade. This one is in Dusk, which is like a warm nude. And I have loved this for years, like this particular one. Again, I think it's like a creamier formula that actually locks down. These ones though are more opaque. They're just more intense than say like the Revlon Serum Blush. They just have a similar texture when you swatch them on the skin, but these ones are easily blendable and they build up pigment way better. So this one in Soar is just not a shade for me. It's too hot pink. I know one of you recommended it, but it just didn't end up working for me. So this one I am going to pass along, but I'm gonna hold on to Dusk. All right, this one here from ColourPop is the Cheek Dew. I hated this. It's a serum blush. What shade is this in? Kiss Kiss. I have not fallen in love with anything from ColourPop in a while. It's too watery. It lifted things. I didn't enjoy the formula. The shade also is just too warm too. It's too brown on me. It's a nice nude, don't get me wrong. It's just, I didn't love it. And I really think that this formula was just too thin to do anything of substance, like stay on my face. So I'm gonna pass it along. The next one is the Mendy Moment blush from Kulfi. This is actually a cream blush in a tube that makes me think it's a liquid, but it's not. This one is super intensely opaque. It's not fully matte, has a nice bit of radiance to it. Like, I really like this. I fell in love with Kulfi and Ami Collet and CL products. I'm liking that though. I think they're smaller indie brands and I'm just enjoying it. I think Kulfi and CL are indie brands. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure all of those are indie brands. But anyway, this is not a shade that I love. I want to get a different shade. This is a little bit too bright for me. So I'm going to pass this along, not because of the formula, but because of the shade overall. I want to pick up a different one that I enjoy reaching for more often. All right, these are some of my top favorite liquid blush formulas in my collection. These are from BH Cosmetics. They're also some of the most affordable. And I don't know the shade number or name because they were on the sticker. So this is something peachy. Who knows? We'll just call it peach, shall we? But these are amazing. They're very similar to the Flower Beauty, that they have like substance, but they build up, but they sheer out, but they don't lift anything, and they're a little bit radiant. They're just like the Flower Beauty blush balms. They're so good. They really are. They just feel like a potted product in a tube is what they feel like. And then this one is like kind of a mauve shade, which I don't know if I need both of the shades, but till I put them in a chopping block, I don't know. But these were the best release from BH Cosmetics in our recent history, I guess. And their highlighter too, their powder highlighter was great, but I have not like loved some of their other stuff, like their eyeshadow releases. But this was after Makeup Revolution purchased them. So anyway, these for sure stay. The very final product for today's video, you guys, is the Nude Screen Blush Tint SPF 30 from Nude Sticks, and this one is in Sunset Rose. This shade came out way different than I thought it was gonna be. Look how cool toned that is on the package. But then when you swatch it out, it's really dusty rose. But the name does say Sunset Rose. Wasn't what I was expecting, but it's still nice. I like this formula. It's a little bit tackier than I thought it was gonna be too. I have not tested it that much, so I'm still enjoying it so far. I don't think it's my favorite though. I thought it was gonna be really, really good. But if I'm gonna reach for an SPF blush, the CL is where it's at. Anyway, that one for now is gonna stay. Okay, 36, I'm holding on to 36 and getting rid of 13. I'm not even gonna set this say down because it's gonna freaking get oil everywhere. All right, I'm getting rid of 13. It's not a lot, but it still feels good. All in all, I got rid of, I don't even know how many I got rid of at this point. I'd say maybe we shaved it down about 10 or 15%. I don't think it was a huge declutter, but again, at the beginning of this video, I did tell you guys that part of this was just getting rid of some for me to move them along. It feels great. For you guys get to see swatches and mini reviews. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this very long video, found it helpful, have been enjoying my content and hope to stick around. So I hope you guys consider subscribing. If you're not currently subscribed, you guys, I'm out of here and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Bye guys.